all my lovely travel fans. So, thank you very much to everyone that joined us for the introduction Ask Me Anything Live. I hope you all enjoyed it. So, tonight for you, we've got a very special guest, Liz, and we're going to be talking about holiday horror stories. So, normally we talk about the amazing times we've had and the wonderful places and experiences that we've had. But tonight is a little different. Tonight we're going to talk about when holidays go wrong. So I'm just going to add Liz in and then we can rock and roll. There we go. So you can find Liz at Wandering Worldwide with Liz. Hi. How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm all right. I've been busy today I've had a COVID like online study day. So that's why we started a bit late because they didn't give us any warning about this thing and it was like a full day thing online and I've been trying to do that and get ready and everything.
Oh, right. Oh, geez.
Yeah. Management of COVID patients. So obviously like very helpful at the moment to have.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Wish we didn't have to, but there we go.
Yeah. That's what we're doing. Yeah.
Whether we like it or not, that's what we're doing.
Yes, whether we like it or not.
Most likely not, but
You
gotta do what you gotta do. So,
yeah.
holiday horror stories.
Yes, holiday horror stories. So, what do you have then? Maybe you could get started.
Oh wow. Well, Cuba was one giant holiday horror story in itself.
Really?
So, if any of you guys watching haven't seen my post, I nearly died in Cuba. Yeah. So I suppose that would give it the horror story approach.
Yeah.
So basically, in 2017, we went to Mexico and then Cuba, and then we had to go back to Mexico to get home. And I'd been looking forward to going for like, I don't even know how long because I love rum. We'd been taking some salsa dance lessons at home with my husband, so we were looking forward to like doing one in Cuba, like to compare. And we thought if we take some lessons first in the UK, when we go to Cuba and they're all like really good, we won't look entirely crap. Was the thinking. I mean, we still did because they were really insanely good, and we were just like, what we're doing, literally, shimmy. That's probably not how you do it. That's probably what I was doing wrong. But yeah, Cuba was meant to be the highlight of the trip because although I was looking forward to Mexico, I had it in my head that I didn't like Mexican food and I was basically going to starve to death for 2 weeks. So I was looking forward to Cuba because like I'd had some Cuba food at like Revolution de Cuba, or like Cuban food. So Revolution de Cuba is a spin-off of Revolution's vodka bars, but it's a Cuban themed rum bar.
Oh, I
see. It's like a chain in the UK, and they do like different rums and like rum cocktails. Basically, you go because it's buy one get one free cocktails at happy hour, and it's good for like big groups because the place is massive. But it's like a chain pub thing, well, bar restaurant thing.
Yeah.
So really looking forward to it. And then it turned out that Mexico blew my mind because it turns out that everything I thought I knew about Mexican food was wrong. Because when you have like Mexican food in the UK, it's actually like Tex-Mex.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and it was just completely different. And oh my God, it was so good. Like I couldn't stop eating. It was amazing.
That's good then. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I certainly
That's
did
a
not
plus.
stop.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I did not stop. But no, it was so amazing. So we're all hyped up after this, having this amazing time in Mexico. Like, yeah, we're going to finish the trip off in Cuba, the thing we've all been waiting for. And we were only meant to be there for like, what was it, like 3 nights? Was it 3 nights? Something like that. And it started off good. Like, our taxi from the airport was an American classic car. Amazing.
Uh-huh.
That's the blue car that you'll have seen in my posts, the bright
Yeah.
blue car. That was our airport taxi.
Yeah,
So I was
that's
like,
not.
oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
this trip's gonna be like amazing. And in the first day, we got scammed. I mean, we still had a good time, and we knew that the scam was like going on. She took us to a bar where she happened to know the bartender, and she took us to this. To be fair, she did take us to this really cool like art gallery place that we would never have found if it wasn't for her. But then it's the whole kind of like, you have to buy my drinks, and the bartender gives you like an inflated price. But
Right.
we were kind of like, you know, you got to earn a living somehow, and she did take us to some cool places that we would have never seen. And then we went for a nice, lovely walk along the Malison, and then people didn't stop hassling us. And it was
Uh,
for the whole time that we were there. People would follow us around. They'd learn in English, where you from, where you
uh-huh.
going, and $10 for my baby. You have them shouted at you everywhere. We were in like a rickshaw tuk-tuk thing, and we had people running after us, shouting after us for money. And
Wow, that's very aggressive.
yeah, and they were really, really pushy about it. And we weren't even like, I'd taken all my jewelry off. I was wearing like old rubbish clothes. Like, there was nothing on me that screamed rich tourist, like
Right.
whatsoever. Other than the fact I am exceptionally white.
Yeah.
So they probably assume, well, if I lived in Cuba, I wouldn't be this pale. But
Yeah.
that you'd have no
That's a
choice.
good
I
point.
mean, it's
That's fair.
hot. And we went in September, right? And this is where everything starts to go really wrong. So we got extorted again, but we knew it was happening, but we couldn't get out of it because we were fairly certain the guy had a weapon, because he kept reaching inside of his jacket and holding on to something. And he seemed to know other people. They ended up taking us to this bar, and we didn't want to go, but we felt like, we had to go. And
Oh,
in all my 36 countries, I have never had that. I have never felt like that. And he blatantly knew the bartender, and then the guy left, but it left it was there was two of them. So there was the guy and his wife, and they kept going on about like how they needed money for their baby. Yet they went out drinking. I'm like thinking to myself, well, where's your baby if you're out drinking? And if you've had an alcoholic drink, then how can you then like feed your baby?
yeah.
So the whole thing didn't make any sense. And they didn't, I don't think they were wearing wedding rings. I don't think they were even together. I think they were just a scam artist like couple.
Mm-hmm.
And he went and bought this like really cheap, like knockoff Cuban cigar and gave it to us as a gift, and then was asking for like $100 to help him
Ooh,
out. We
this
were like,
is this is a bad situation. Oh my
oh,
goodness.
this gets worse. This gets
Oh
worse,
my.
this
I'm
trip.
really shocked. Wow.
And we didn't have the money, because who's wandering around with like, I don't like wandering around with lots of money in case, I don't know, I lose my purse or we get robbed or whatever. And generally stuff in Cuba is like fairly cheap, so I was like, I don't need to, have loads of money on me. But in the end, we had to give him, I think it was about $40, which is what we had, because he sat there watching us count it out, made us take it out and like count it out to him, just to be allowed to leave this bar. And the bartenders were in on it. You could tell because the way that he was talking to him and stuff. And it was another, again, they ordered us some drinks, and we were sold them at like 4 times the price, and we had to pay for theirs. And it was, but I've never felt so scared, because I was so certain that he had something in his jacket. I don't know whether it was a knife or a gun or what,
Oh
but
my.
I've never felt so scared for my life until the next day. So we'd been out, I said it's hot in Cuba.
Yes, yeah.
42 degrees
Yeah.
in September. I was like,
That
me,
is
pale,
wild.
pasty boy. I was like, I am not prepared for this. And we started to run out of water, but they
Oh
don't really.
dear.
It gets, oh no, it gets worse. This story gets much worse. So we were like running out of water, and we were like, oh, we love Thomas. Yes, they basically held us in the bar. Yeah.
That is not okay. That is not okay.
Yeah. So we were running out of water, and we're like, oh, we'll go to a shop. And the shop that we found, I can't even make this up, was a hole in the wall, and they had some like steel racking, and it was behind a counter. You had to ask the guy at the counter, and they had, I'm not joking, 6 items for sale. That was it. And one was a random car part, one was a single toilet roll, a single can of Coke. Well, not Coke. They've got their own drinks company over there that makes like knockoff versions of all of
Oh,
like Coke and Fanta and like Sprite and stuff. I mean, it's pretty good, but it's really, I find it really amusing that a what's it called, a Cuba Libre, which means free Libre, you know, the cocktail rum and Coke. They don't even allow Coke in Cuba.
yeah. That's
I just find it hilarious.
that.
And
Yeah. I wouldn't have expected that. Huh.
yeah, it was really odd. Like we knew about it before we went, but we were like, oh yeah, we'll find Coke. No, no, genuinely not. So we couldn't even buy water. There was none for sale. And if you're a tourist, you can't go in one of the normal supermarkets. You're not allowed. They're for Cuban citizens only. And we couldn't find a tourist one. And here's where the story gets worse. So I basically got heat stroke. And the story gets worse still. Not only did I have heat stroke, we'd gone to, stupid, I know, hole in the wall pizza place opposite our accommodation because we were in an Airbnb. And I don't know why I thought it would be a good idea, but I thought, oh, it goes in a really hot oven, it'll be fine. No, the worst food poisoning I have ever had in my life. So I had food poisoning and heat stroke. This was how bad it was. We thought I had dengue fever and was going to die because the hospital doesn't accept tourists. So I couldn't
Really?
go.
What are you supposed to do? Oh dear.
Oh no, the story gets worse. There's more. There's more. So I couldn't go to hospital because it didn't accept tourists. Apparently there was a tourist hospital on the island, but we didn't know about it. There's no internet, so you can't Google anything. And I was that ill. It was 42 degrees, and I had 3 blankets over me, and I was shivering. And it gets worse. So I couldn't keep anything down, and I was rapidly really dehydrating because I was literally, I'd have a sip of water and I'd instantly be sick again. I lived in the bathroom with my head down the toilet, and I got through all the water, so now there was nothing for either of us. And hubby went out to try and buy some. Nobody had any for sale. All they had was rum, which was not going to help.
No.
Because at first, I mean, we thought I was hungover at first because the night before we'd gone to Cabaret Tropicana and I danced on the stage, which was amazing. I got to dance with the cast on the stage, which was like,
Wow.
bucket list moment. And I did have a lot of rum to drink, but then everything went horribly wrong then on. And yeah, so basically, because we couldn't buy any water, we had to get tap water, boil it and for a long time, and then filter out the sediment using little tiny espresso cups, pour it into a bottle, leave it on the side to cool down, and then chill it in the fridge just so we had water that we could drink. And I had to fly home like that. Oh, and then it gets better. So to try and sort myself out, I thought I'll have a shower, right? Got in the shower, bare wire, electrocuted myself. So I've never been so sodding happy to leave a place. But the thing
I
is,
can't believe this. There's so many things that went wrong on this.
I know, right? But the thing is, though, is I want to go back, but I want to go back as part of like an organised tour because I feel like I've missed so much because we didn't get to see half of it because I was busy dying. And then
Yeah.
my husband had got it as well. And my husband, bless him, to try and get some food into me, because we didn't realise at first it was the pizza place, went back the following night and got more pizza. And then so we had to fly home, and we had to fly from Havana to Mexico City. Then there was like a 3-hour layover,
Uh-huh.
and then a long flight home from Mexico City. But we'd flown into Heathrow, and we were taking the train home. And then we had to hang around at Euston Station for 2 hours to get our train to Tamworth, and then have my granddad pick us up at Tamworth Station to drive us another 35 minutes home.
Right.
Genuinely, I literally, I got into the house and I had to climb upstairs to bed. We've got a 3-story house, on my hands and knees up the stairs.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Do you think you can top it?
No, mine's not nearly as bad, but I do have several different stories that are bad, but not all like in one trip that I have that many things go wrong. I really can't believe. I mean, I mean, it's not funny, but you've got to laugh about it, right? Because then you're just like,
when I tell them what happened, they're just like, that can't have all happened on one trip. That happened over a space of 3 days.
oh dear, oh bless you, oh bless you. Ah, well, you made it through though, didn't you, to tell a tale? So
I did.
you did. Yeah. Wow. Oh my. So okay. Let's see. I can start off first with okay. So I used to be an English teacher in Thailand.
Oh.
And yeah, I was teaching there for a year and a half.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, I was
I
teaching.
did volunteer English teaching in Vietnam, and I've got some. Well, after you've like told yours, I've got some more stories from Vietnam.
Okay, lovely, lovely. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I have different stories, but I'll start off first with the one in Thailand. So I was an English teacher for a year and a half, and I'm not there anymore. I've just come back to the U.S. But so I was teaching in not like one of the touristy cities in Thailand, like where most people teach. So I was teaching in a smaller village, just like a smaller area where it's more local people, not tons of tourists who come to be in Thailand. So it's called Nakhon Pathom. That's where I was teaching. And basically, so I was still new to living in Thailand and I couldn't speak much Thai. So this is like,
it's a tricky language, to be fair, isn't it?
yeah, it's a bit hard. Now I'm all right with speaking in Thai, but this was when I first got to Thailand. So I had gone on a weekend trip to Bangkok, and I had a nice weekend in Bangkok. I don't remember what I did at this point now, but yeah, I just taken the bus from my village where I was teaching to Bangkok, which was 2 hours away, so not bad at all.
Yeah.
And so then after my weekend trip, it was time for me to come back because I had to teach the next day. However, I was just such a mess. I was such a mess because I got so lost, because getting to Bangkok is pretty easy. It just takes you right to the like metro train station where it will take you all around the town.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so it's really easy getting to Bangkok, but I hadn't really known like how to get back to my village. And I was just, oh my gosh, I was such a mess. But I finally figured out, like, okay, I can just try I was just winging it, honestly. I was like, all right, so I can just probably take any bus station and talk to them and try and get back to the right place. I was hoping for the best, hoping with all my heart, hoping. But I didn't. It didn't work out. Because what happened, this is all having to do with language barrier. And also, they could tell, you know, I was a foreigner because I couldn't speak Thai. So they didn't understand why I was trying to go back to this smaller village because I'm like a tourist. So they don't understand why I would want to go to that province. It's not where travelers go, typically.
So they
So
thought that you had the wrong word, like the
yeah,
wrong
so
place.
they thought I was saying like the wrong word because I showed them on like Google Maps and everything. Like, I need to go here. And I tried saying like teacher, you know, I go,
Yeah.
because they spoke very minimal, if any, English. And I did like translate all of it on Google Translate for them. But the thing is, in their mind, they were just thinking, why is this? She's not meant to go there. So that's what happened. So I ended up getting on a bus, and I'm not actually sure to this day which place in Thailand I went to, but I got on the bus, and I was, you know, still new to being in Thailand, so I didn't know if it was going to the right place. And it was not. I went to some different province in Thailand that was probably 2 hours the opposite direction of where I was meant to be.
Oh God.
And it was a really, really big mess. A really big mess. So yeah. And also I was trying to ring like the teachers from my school.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just couldn't get a hold of them, so it just was bad luck. Yeah, it was just bad luck. So yeah, I ended up being in some province, a very random place. I'm not even sure where I was. And I was just really stressed at that point. So once I arrived and I was like, yeah, this isn't it. I don't really know what to do at this point. I just like gave up. And once I arrived, I was like, all right, whichever hotel is the closest one, I'm going in there, I'm sleeping, and I'm just going to call it a give up.
Again tomorrow kind of thing.
Yeah, just accept my defeat that I've messed up and I can't do anything. So just go to sleep.
It's so easily done though, because I had a similar experience in Vietnam where we weren't in District 1, we were living in the college where we were teaching. And it's not an area where the tourists go, and the taxi driver was utterly convinced that I had the wrong area. Utterly convinced. And I was like, no, I promise you, this is where I want to go. And he kept trying to like, oh, I take you here, I take there. It's like, no, take me back to my accommodation, damn it. I need to teach, damn it.
Yeah, that's what happened to me too. Same.
Yeah, and I even, the best of it is, I had even written down the exact address of where I needed to go to. I think I had it in Vietnamese as well as English, and he was still insistent, like, oh, I take you to the backpacker hostel. I don't want the backpacker hostel. I'm not here as a backpacker on holiday. Like, take me to my students. Like,
oh my goodness. Yeah, I had the same experience. It's, yeah.
I can understand why they'd think that way, but at the same time, it's like really frustrating as well, especially like when you've got a deadline and you've got people waiting on you and relying on you. It just makes everything like that much more stressful.
Well, yeah. And I was honestly so embarrassed because, I mean, I was obviously late to school the next day, and I was just like, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah, but it wasn't like your fault. It couldn't have been helped. It's just one of those like just rubbish situations where communication like broke down. Like the amount of times in Vietnam where I had even like the correct Vietnamese, the correct pronunciation of everything, and they still like didn't get me was unreal. Because they assume that you must have been told something wrong, because it's like you're like a Westerner. This isn't your district. This isn't where Westerners go. So
yeah, that's what had happened to me too. Same situation. Yeah, because they're like, no, they're like, yeah, Westerners don't go there. but I'm teaching there. That's why I'm going there. I live there. Like, I live there.
I was like, I promise you, if you take me there, my bags are there, my students are there.
Yeah, I know.
For me, it's fine.
Oh dear. Wow. Well, how long were you like teaching then in Vietnam?
I was only there for 3 weeks. I wanted to go for longer, but basically, I had just started an apprenticeship and I'd saved up like a load of holiday to use all at once. And I went I came back just before Christmas. I was only there for 3 weeks because that was the amount of holiday that I get. And I thought about stopping over Christmas, but my granny had just passed away. And I was basically told that if I do not come home for Christmas, do not ever come home. So I came home for Christmas, and also my husband, I mean, at the time, we'd only been on 2 dates, and then I'd flown out to Vietnam, and he was told that, what was the phrase that was used? Basically, that I'd be sleeping with everybody around me. I wasn't bothered about him, and I was never coming home. Well, joke's on them, because I stayed up until 1:30 in the morning every morning because he didn't realise the time difference to be on Facebook Messenger to him every night. And we're now married and have been together officially for over 6 years. So I'm the one now.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. If I hadn't have come home, then like obviously none of that would have happened. And he was so excited when I did get home. He insisted on seeing me, and it had been months since I'd had my hair done. I looked like an absolute state, jet lagged and everything. And he still insisted on taking me out to dinner and saying that I was beautiful. So I was like, he's a good egg. Yes, I can have this one.
Oh, that's lovely. Wow.
Yeah, but I want to go out and do it again, but it's just lack of time.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, I had so many plans canceled for my trips around Southeast Asia. It's gutted. I
was meant to go on several trips last year. I was meant to go to Africa to spend a month in Zambia, in the main hospital in Lusaka. It was meant to be my elective placement for university, and I was going to be working in pediatrics, so children, with the prosthetics teams, making the prosthesis, and like with the physios working with the amputee patients that are being fitted with the prosthetics. So I was really looking forward to that. And then obviously that hasn't happened. So I've got a post-graduation holiday waiting for me, working holiday, because it's all fully paid for. It's just been postponed. So I'm really looking forward to that. I know it's going to be like really different to the UK, but
drastically,
yeah, but I'm really looking forward to going and like seeing how they do things over there and working with children and things like that again.
That was a good experience, I imagine. I mean, I'm sure it'll be very, well, I mean, just a culture shock when, you know?
Yeah.
Those can be hard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, luckily, most of them do speak English, so I've got that in my favour. So communication is not going to be as much of a barrier, I'm hoping. So that should be good. But I'm just looking forward to going somewhere different.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's a good transition then. So I have a story about 2 countries I've been to in Africa. So should share my experiences. Yeah. Okay, so I studied in Morocco for like an exchange program. So that's in Northern Africa. So obviously this was one of my first trips that I had done abroad. So extreme change, just honestly extreme change. But So I was with an exchange program because I was going to university there for half a year. And
Oh, cool.
yeah, I was so excited. Um, but basically, so, you know, I had flown over to Morocco and it was like, I mean, it's a pretty long flight because the US, you know, we're pretty far from everything else, it seems
Especially
like.
like depending where in the US you are as well, because the US as a
Yeah.
whole is like massive.
Massive, massive. Yeah, I'm right in the middle, so like kind of by Chicago, but
Ah,
not actually that close to Chicago. That's the only like
yeah.
relative I can tell you. But yeah, I mean it was a pretty long flight. I think it was about maybe like 20 hours like in total.
Oh,
I know.
oh,
So long.
oh.
Yeah. But I mean, even just flying within the US, it can take you like 7 hours for a flight and you're still in the US. Because it's
Yeah,
that
that's
massive.
like to me, like the mind boggles because I've never been over to like the West Coast. I've only been to Florida and New York, which,
Mhm.
as the US is like the closest places to Britain. Like I can't imagine then doubling that to get to the other side. It's just like,
Yeah, exactly. I know. It's massive. Ah, ugh, I don't like that part about it, um but yeah, so my flight was about 20 hours, I'd say. So I just landed and like when I was in the airport, I landed in Casablanca, which is the biggest city. Yeah. Um, and so they don't let the like outsiders come inside the airport just for security reasons. But so we met our exchange program people outside and that was all lovely. There was no problems. I hadn't experienced any cultural shock yet.
it's
Um,
coming.
it's coming. So then we had gone and checked into our hotel. It was a really lovely hotel. Like I was just like, wow. And everything was just so beautiful. Like the weather wasn't too hot either. Later it gets hot, but I had arrived in Morocco in January, so it's their cold season. So it's about oh, I guess like 20, yeah. So it's not bad.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, not bad, but it gets really hot when it's like May. It gets really, really hot in Morocco.
I can
Um,
imagine.
oh yeah, but so I hadn't had any culture shock experiences yet. But we checked into our lovely hotel. Mostly just slept once we first arrived because everyone had been traveling. Then the next day we had like an orientation thing, which we had learned about. Yeah, stuff that would be a culture shock to us, how to kind of know Moroccan values and customs so we can just be a little bit knowledgeable about that.
And like stop you from making like some faux pas and things like that.
Yeah, things that are super rude or just completely not accepted. So we learned all about that. So, I mean, we do have to dress like a bit conservatively. You don't have to completely change how you dress, and you don't have to wear like the headscarf or anything, but like you can't show, you know, like cleavage or show like, you know, your thighs or anything like that.
Yeah.
But we already had known that. And then they did warn us. They warned us, but I had forgot. They warned us really, really don't have your phone out. Like, just don't have your phone out if you're in a really crowded place. So, like, in a specific place. So, like, if you're walking, like, on the street, it's probably all right, but you don't want to flash it all the time. You do have to be more mindful of how you're having your cell phone and, like, your cameras and stuff. But specifically, if you go to the market, so they call them a Medina. So they're yeah, so it's in the old city and they're really crowded, really small, narrow alleyways, tons and tons of people just everywhere. It's where everyone goes to like hang out at night pretty much. And that's where most Moroccans live. They live in the Medinas. So we had gone to now a different city. We had gone to Marrakesh, if you've heard of it?
Oh, it's on my list to go. But every time I find cheap flights, they're never at the right time or the right
Oof.
days.
Yeah.
One
I
day,
mean,
one day I will go. I
I
really
still
want to go and
recommend you
stay there.
go.
Is it
I
a
still
Riyadh? A
recommend you go
Riyadh?
though. Say again.
Is it a Riyadh or a Riyadh that the traditional
Yeah.
hotel?
Oh yeah.
I really want to be
Those
in one.
are absolutely lovely. You can have, I mean, just an amazing photo shoot in there. They're so beautiful.
Oh,
Like,
one day.
yeah, I mean, Morocco is filled with a lot of beauty. Like the landscape, I mean, the riads, they look like just, I mean, the architecture, everything. It's really
Oh, I
gorgeous.
love Moroccan architecture and just the level of detail that's gone into everything you see just astounds me.
Yes, everything, honestly. Yeah. Even people who have like more of a basic house, you know, you can tell that they're on a lower class system. Their houses still are very beautiful because they still put in detail to make it
Oh,
look beautiful. It's really just, I mean,
yeah.
yeah, that's why, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like Morocco a lot. But yeah, I mean, my program, they did warn us about this. When you go to the Medinas, you really need to watch all of your possessions very, very closely.
Because of the sticky fingers.
Yes, those pickpocketers. And I knew this. We all knew it. We were warned many times.
Oh, I know
But
what's coming. And I don't like it.
I know it's sad, and I couldn't believe it happened to me because I thought I was watching my belongings really well. But what happened was basically, yeah, my phone was pickpocketed from me, gone, completely gone, and I didn't even
Was it like in
know.
your hand?
It wasn't in my hand; it was in my pocket. Yeah, because I was
That
like, okay,
happened.
you know,
That happened to a
I've
friend
just
of
arrived to
mine.
Morocco. I don't know how everything is going to be like, so I'm not even going to get my phone out. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to observe and take in everything.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know it happened to me. But my phone was pickpocketed from me, and I didn't feel it or anything. They were that sneaky. Yeah, I mean, it was shocking because I knew exactly where I put it in my pocket,
Yeah.
but somehow it still got like it still got taken from me, and I didn't even know that it happened. I didn't feel anything. There was no one in my mind where I was like, okay, it was maybe when we were, you know,
Right.
yeah, I
I
had no
tell you what,
idea it was even taken
when
from
they
me
know what
because,
they're doing. I
yeah,
mean, this happened to a friend of ours, literally like just over a year ago, and we never saw it coming.
no, yeah,
So
you just
that
have to
leaves
be
me
really
very nice.
mindful about it. I mean, yeah, I mean
That
those
leaves
like
me on a
pouches
very
that you
nice
can put under your clothes. Yeah, if you have like those pouches that you can put under your clothes.
I've got a story
Um,
about them as well for you.
oh dear, but that's what I recommend, at least for Morocco, is just to put your like money and all of your possessions like in the money pouch thing under your clothes, and also like walk with your hands like on it.
Yeah,
So
I'm I'm very conscious when I'm traveling of where all of my belongings are at any one point. And people say that I'm probably a bit overboard, but it's because of things that have happened to friends and that I've heard about why I'm so overboard. So, like, if I've got a handbag on,
mhm.
my arm is I usually have a shoulder bag, but my arm is across my bag. They ain't getting in that bag without a fight. Or if I've got a rucksack on, I padlock the zip shut. But the pickpocketing story is so basically December, not just the one gone, the one before it. Me, my husband, my brother, and one of our closest friends flew out to Berlin for the Christmas markets
Uh-huh.
because I worked in Berlin previously and I absolutely love Berlin. It's one of my favourite cities of all time. And within what how long was it? 3 hours of the plane touching ground in Germany,
Mhm.
our friend had his passport pickpocketed.
Oh God.
So I had hold of my husband's passport, my brother's passport, and my passport because we were under the impression that you had to carry them on you, because I know in some places you do, and we thought that we'd heard that police would be like checking with tourists. So we all brought our passports out and that, and we were also going to try and get tickets to go in the Bundestag, the government building. Is it Reichstag? I always get confused. One is the government building and one is the government. I can never remember which way round it is. But to get the tickets, because I couldn't get any online, we had to go with our passports. And basically, we went to go and queue up to get these tickets. We'd arrived, checked into the accommodation, dumped our bags, gone and had food, and we were now queuing up round the corner to get the tickets from the government building. Friend goes into his pockets to find his passport, gone. The first day, we spent the entire day retracing our steps, literally running back and forth over Berlin. We retraced our steps. We went on the underground train, the one that we'd used. We ended up having to go to the police station and report that it had gone. We then had to go to the embassy and report it there. We then had to try and get new photos taken. And what the resulting thing is that they were supposed to be issuing him with an emergency document. And we were only there for a few nights. But because of how long they took, he wasn't due to be getting it until the day that we were flying home. But we're like, it's okay, because we've got like an afternoon flight. We've got the time. Went there in the morning, their printers broke. And they could have done a handwritten note that would have been accepted because we were flying from EU country to EU country, both within the Schengen zone, and we were flying home. So there would have been no question about it. And they refused to give it him. So we missed his flight. He ended up having to book another flight home from a different airport at the cost of £350 for one flight, one way. It's only like an hour and a half flight. And that was more than the flights that all of us had paid return. And then he couldn't even fly into the local airports. He had to fly into Heathrow, which is 2.5 hours drive away. And his sister had to drive down and come and pick him up and then drive all the way back again. And then go through the process of trying to claim on the travel insurance. And you still ain't got a passport now.
Oof. That's the worst. Like, that's the worst. What people worry about is losing their passport.
I know, and you hear about it, don't you? But you think, oh, it'll never happen to me. And then it happens, and you're like, shh.
Yeah. Oh, dear.
And it literally, like, it did put a dampener on the whole trip, because we spent the whole trip basically waiting to hear back from the embassy and all of this. And just like the whole kind of shock of it all. And we don't even know when it disappeared. And he had pretty deep pockets. Like, they must have been really sly to have.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, they become professionals in it. Like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
I've no, touch wood. Some wood down in skirting board. I've never been pickpocketed, but I am really cautious. So you said about the money like waist belts.
Yeah.
So I have one, and when I went to Vietnam, because I was told Ho Chi Minh loads of pickpocketing. I never saw anything. I don't know anyone that got pickpocketing, so I don't think it is that much of a deal as what people are saying. But I was still very like paranoid, like rucksack padlocked up so nobody could get into it easily. Anything of value I had this money belt, so I used to put in there some money, cash for me going out, my passport and my phone. Now that's all very well and good, but I didn't take into account the fact that when I had this on in my clothes, it made me look a bit pregnant. So I would have like random Vietnamese ladies coming up to me and because they didn't speak, coming and rub my belly, and then they feel something hard, And then because they don't know the words they use, rather than just ask me, right? Literally, grab hold of top, lift my top up to see what's under there. And I'm like, really? If you would have like pointed and gone like, I'd have shown you. But it was just like, no, top up, what's under there? And this didn't just happen once. This happened about 3-4 times. And to the point where I was like, I'll never got my passport checked anyway, and they don't ID over there. So I just stopped like taking it out with me, and I started instead like just putting like some money in there, and then I put my phone. I bought a like a phone holder thing. Like, do you know Totoro from like Japanese like anime Studio Ghibli?
Yeah.
Well, we went on a weekend trip, and they were selling these like mobile phone holders. It was basically like a knitted pouch with a button on the back, and it was on like a chain, like a cord thing. I bought a Totoro one in Dalat, this little mountain town, and I ended up like putting my phone in that and wearing it around my neck under my clothes, because I was sick of having all these people keep rubbing my tummy, which is like a really bizarre thing.
That is bizarre.
Yeah.
And not only that, not only did they rub your belly, they lift your shirt.
I know. I was just like, I would have been like more fine with just rubbing my tummy if it wasn't then like, we're gonna like undress you now in the market in front of everyone.
That is so bizarre.
I was just like, okay. But it's like, I couldn't even say to them like, you know, this isn't acceptable, because they wouldn't have, I didn't know the words in Vietnamese, and they wouldn't have understood me. But I was just like, why?
That's weird. That's weird. Like,
yeah,
that's a weird one. That's a really weird one.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't do it if I was like in a group, but if I'd have gone out on my own, then it would happen most times I went out.
Oh, geez.
But it was just a very strange experience.
That is really strange, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that is not the story I was expecting when you're like, oh, I've got a story with the pouch. No.
It's not what you thought.
I would have never guessed that. Vietnamese woman just lifting up your shirt to see your tummy. No.
Lifting up the shirt casually. Oh, and then pointing at it like, oh, that's not a baby. And I'm like, no, it's not a baby.
I know that. You
I know not a baby.
Oh,
babies aren't traditionally hard and phone shaped, you know.
Oh, wow. Oh, dear.
So what else have you got for me? What else has gone wrong?
Yeah, so I have another one. So I'm going to go back to my travel stories in Africa. I saw that some of my friends came on here who are from Morocco. So, assalam, hello. So I've also been to Egypt.
I'm going to be really jealous now, because I was meant to be going over Christmas, but COVID happened.
Oh,
and I mean, I've been, but I've only been to Sharm el Sheikh diving. I was going to see like all the ancient sites and on a tour, and obviously it hasn't happened.
I hope you can go though. I was in Egypt for, I think it was 9 days, if I remember right. But I definitely would go back still. I would still go back, even though I have this horror story I'm about to tell you. So, like I was with a friend. Me and her, we had been in Cairo. We were there for a few days, you know, doing all the sites, like the museums. I mean, there's a lot to see and do in Cairo because it's a huge city. But then we decided we wanted to go see the tombs. It's in Luxor, so it's like what do they call it?
The temple at Karnak? Is that one of the ones in Luxor?
Yeah, and then also the Valley of the Tombs, I think that's what they call it. It's where all of like the kings and queens of Egypt are buried.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where we had gone. So this town, it's called Luxor. So this is where all of the ancient tombs and lots of ancient
Oh yeah, I
buildings
was
are.
most looking forward to going there. Damn it.
Yes, yes. But I'll tell you right now that Egyptians, they are very like aggressive when it comes to haggling with you and trying to get your money. So
Oh, I know.
you've got
Yeah.
to have a very stern approach. You don't have to be polite to them, because if you're polite to them, they'll keep messing with you. You have to tell them right away, like,
Yeah.
go, like, just shoo them away. Be rude to them, because if you don't want it, you don't want it. And they're going to just keep trying to smooth talk you and just
And they'll
bother.
follow you as well, I
They
found
will.
in
So you just have to tell them straight away. No, you can even say it in Arabic, which I definitely recommend. So they'll just leave you alone. So if you want to say no in Arabic, you say la. So just say la 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 la, and be aggressive, like
I like
la.
that. La, 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 la.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, one sec. I've got to fix my light. It's flickering and it's like making me blink and do weird stuff with my eyes. So it's just going to go dark for a sec.
Okay. Okay.
That's not.
Right.
But we're going with this colour.
Yeah.
I've got 3 settings on it, and the bright white one, for some reason, has just started flickering and it's doing my head in. Right, it's all good. Carry on.
So okay. So that's just like a minor part of it. Yeah, they really want to haggle you with your money. They're very aggressive. So you have to be very stern, shoo them away. You'll have no problems. But if you don't, they're going to follow you. And that's just how it is.
You remind me of another story I've got now. They
But,
keep coming,
so,
and it's about Egypt as well.
oh gosh. But, all right. So me and my friend, we had taken oh, I almost forgot this part. All right. So me and my friend, we were trying to find transportation to this town called Luxor, because we didn't do it with tours or anything, which is not what the majority of people tend to do. But we were going to do like more, I guess, the local types of transport and everything. But so first, our idea was to take the train because it would be faster. That didn't work because we had gone to the train station in Egypt, in Cairo, like the biggest train station there, and we had found it and everything, and there was no problems with that. But we stood out so much. We were the only foreigners in the whole entire train station, and everyone was just staring at us pretty much. And yeah, so that was uncomfortable, but that's not the part that, like, that's not even the main part of the story. But we were like waiting in a queue to buy our ticket because we found the right like place to buy the ticket to go to Luxor, and they would not sell the ticket to us at all. They said no foreigner, no foreigner. They didn't want to sell it to us, basically.
You just reminded me of another story I've got.
Oh gosh,
I've had this happen to me as well.
Yeah, so that'll happen, and that actually kept happening to us. I guess a few more times that we tried to use like more local transport, and the Egyptians, they were just like, no, no foreigner, no foreigner. So I don't know if they have weird laws about that, or if they just really don't want it. Or
I know from researching like tours to go on, they do have like an overnight train that goes from Cairo to Luxor, which is mainly, I think a lot of it is tourists. So I think they were just being funny buggers.
Yeah. So
and we had something similar in Mexico where we wanted to get a train ticket. I knew exactly what to say in Spanish,
right.
and they wouldn't Google us. So, and she made us leave the queue because it was forming behind us. And in the end, I knew that I was in the right, and I went back and I just slammed the money down and said 2 tickets, and she gave them me.
Wow, that's good.
I don't like being rude, especially when I'm traveling. But I was like, look, train is the easiest way to get there. Give me ticket. Yeah.
We tried, and also both me and my friend, we spoke enough Arabic to translate this stuff, and we were speaking in Arabic with him. It didn't matter, and we were aggressive too. We were like, two tickets, put the money down, because we went to Egypt after me and her we had met in Morocco because we were in the same program. So we were used to like more of how like the Arab style is, just very direct, very you do this for me, all this like how they are. So we were like, yeah, 2 tickets, and we were like very, you know, confident. Gave them the money, everything, and they still were like, no, 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 la 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 la. They just absolutely wouldn't. So we tried to find another option, because then we were like, oh shoot, like what do we do? I mean, we were really flexible about our itinerary because we knew we were going to be there for a bit, but we're like, we really want to go like as soon as possible if we can, like we're ready, you know. So then we saw that there was another option of maybe you could take an overnight train, and they pushed this towards the tourists, but then we looked at the price and we're like, absolutely not, because it was maybe like $100 or $200, and we were like, absolutely not. So this overnight train, it was like in a luxurious option, so it was like one of those really luxurious overnight trains, and we're like, oh
no,
like
because there's different standards of tickets on that train, isn't there? I think.
Yeah, there is. They were trying to push us to do the luxurious train. That's what they wanted us to do. But we didn't want to do that. We just wanted, like, we don't need that. We didn't need that, you know? And we obviously didn't want to pay $100 or $200. I don't remember how much it was. But yeah, it was way out of our budget because we didn't want to pay that much to go all the way down there.
And then you got to come back as well.
Yeah, because then we had to come back. And Luxor, if you drive from Cairo to Luxor, it takes like, it depends, but about 13 hours. It's long.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's long. Because it's, I mean, you're going basically from the top of Egypt to the bottom of Egypt.
Yeah, it is a bit of a track.
Yeah. But so then we finally, you know, we were looking on our phones. We had reception and all of that. We had Google Maps downloaded on our phone, which is definitely something you should do if you're traveling.
Yeah. I always make sure to do that now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. After my other experiences, I always made sure I downloaded Google Maps on my phone for offline, because that saved me from lots and lots of problems.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. It's been really helpful at those times, because you might think, oh, I'm going to have internet when I get there. And then it's like, spoiler alert, no, you're not.
No, don't ever depend on that, because you never know. Never know. Yeah. But so we finally found a bus option. So it was an overnight bus, and that was perfectly fine. So we made it down to Luxor. We bought our bus ticket for an overnight bus. So we finally did that. We went to Luxor. We spent a couple days there. But we saw like the tombs and everything, all the temples. It was amazing. I mean, amazing. We got to go into some of the tombs and see everything. And it's just amazing, because these tombs are underground. And it's just like, when you're looking at some of these ancient buildings that they have, these ancient temples, you're like, how did they, your mind just goes like, how did they do, like, how did they make this? Because it's very, I mean, it's just out of this world. Like,
we got the same when we went to Chichen Itza in Mexico. We were like, this is so old. How did they make this? And it's the fact that at Chichen Itza, that you've got the stone statues on one side, and on a certain day of the year, the sun's at the right point, and there's like a shadow that looks like a snake going down to earth, which is meant to be one of the Mayan gods. And it's like, how did they build it so precisely that it would this would happen on one day of the year every year? Just
I know, mind blown. That's how I felt. Yeah. It was so
and then
beautiful.
you've got people in this day and age like Donald Trump telling people to inject Dettol, and it's like, we've not really progressed, have we?
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah.
Let's not talk about that Muppet anymore.
No. No thanks. Okay, so then we had decided that we were done in Luxor. We saw everything we wanted to see, and we just wanted to get back to Cairo because we liked Cairo a lot better. Yeah. Just because, I mean, Luxor, the sights are absolutely amazing, but we had to deal with a lot that people were trying to haggle us and trying to get us to buy stuff, and that happened a lot more.
I've heard about that. My mum did a Nile River cruise, and she said that they'd come up to the boats and try and sell you stuff on the boat.
Yeah, they're very aggressive with, and like in your face about trying to get you to buy stuff all the time.
Oh
yeah. Oh yeah. So Luxor, when we were there, we absolutely loved the experience and everything of seeing everything, but we were just bothered all the time about trying to buy stuff. So we're like, okay, you know, it's time for us to go back to Cairo. We like it better there. We saw what we needed to see in Luxor. Let's go back to Cairo. So we had like an accommodation that, I mean, there's actually not, Luxor isn't that big actually, because yeah, it's a really touristy place. Only it's only tourism. So yeah, all of the accommodations are all in the same area, but you do have some that are on one side of the Nile River and then ones that are on the other side of the Nile River. So we had our accommodation on the opposite side of the Nile River from the bus station. Of course, yeah. But you can't quite tell that on the map until you once you arrive. So this actually was part of our problem that could have gone extremely, extremely, extremely bad. But I don't know. I guess God was with us or something. Because this could have honestly gone really bad. But
Ra took pity on you.
Oh, dear. So me and my friend, we had booked the overnight bus to go back to Cairo. It was easy booking it. There was no problems with that. But basically, so our accommodation was on the opposing side of the Nile River of where the bus station was. And basically, there's like a ferry that comes every 10 or 15 minutes, but they're Egyptian, so things don't run on time. And we know that this is how the culture is because Morocco is that way too. Nothing goes on time. We know it. We knew Egyptians were this way too, but we didn't know that they were going to be that late to where it created an issue.
Oh, no.
So we had gone to it's like a ferry boat, I guess, that goes across the Nile River.
Like a water taxi thing.
Yeah, a water taxi, basically. The locals use it. The tourists use it. They just get on. I'm pretty sure the locals, they don't have to pay anything, but the tourists, you do.
Of course.
Yeah, but I know it wasn't that much. I'm thinking maybe like 50 cents or something, because it was absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But so we were waiting for the ferry so we could cross over to the Nile. And I mean, the bus station wasn't that far from once you get onto the other side. But we made sure we arrived maybe like 30 minutes before we needed to be on to the bus, because it actually wasn't that far, like from when you cross over, but the boat taxi wasn't coming to get us. It wasn't coming over. So we were stuck on the other side and we were just like, what the heck? Like, what the heck? And finally one came over. And they also didn't wait very long. I don't know why. And there were like people waiting to get on there, and they almost didn't let us get on there. And we had to like jump onto the ferry while it was moving away, because they're like, no, we don't want you on. We're like, we have to go now. Like, we have an overnight bus. So literally, as the ferry was starting to go away, we were like, all right, and we just had to jump onto the dock and everything, because they weren't waiting very long for us. Also, the Egyptians, they were telling us no, like probably because they just didn't want too many people on there, but we're like, we've been waiting and we have somewhere we need to go, like, because
sometimes you've just got to be a bit like, you know, the typical obnoxious tourist, because you're like, I've got things to do as well.
I know. We did come off that way, but yeah. Oh my gosh.
You don't want to
We just didn't know that the ferry wasn't going to come very often, I guess, because they don't have like a schedule or anything. And also the person at our accommodation, like I guess the hotel clerks or whatever you would call them, they're like, oh yeah, no problem. They come every 10 minutes. So we're like, all right, great. So a couple will
I've
come,
heard that one before from hotel desks, and it's like, yeah, no, they didn't.
No, they didn't. They didn't. Which, yeah, I mean, I know now, I've learned from it, but basically, so we finally got over to the other side once we had jumped on this ferry taxi. We only had like a really small backpack because we only did like 2 days in Luxor, so we had almost nothing with us. So, you know, we were like light and we could maneuver around. But me and my friend then, I mean, what the heck? So we were so worried because we weren't exactly sure what time it was. We didn't even want to look because then it would just stress us out. So we were just like, all right, let's get there as fast as we can. We like ran. Yeah, we ran because we were like, we don't want to miss this overnight bus because we don't know if we'll be able to find another one. And at this point, since the overnight bus leaves at night, it was maybe like 9 p.m. or something.
Oh God, yeah. So
Yeah. So it's not a good situation if it's late like that. And so yeah, we were running and we made it to the bus station where you need to get on the overnight bus, and we talked to the people there and they said, oh, it's already left. And so we're like, oh well, great. And then we could speak some Arabic, so we tried talking to the bus station people about finding a new place, like if they had another overnight bus, we'd take it. It didn't matter, like, we'll take it. And they really didn't want to sell it to us. Like, they didn't want to sell us a ticket. I don't know. This kept happening in Egypt. Oh, they don't want to sell you the train ticket. Oh, they don't want to sell you the overnight bus, blah, blah, blah. Even if you speak Arabic. We're just like, what the bloody hell? Like,
how do you win?
Yeah, and we even spoke Arabic too because we're like, oh God, like, what do people do if they can't? Like,
no chance.
Yeah. So then we understood like why a lot of people they do like a tour where they don't have to worry about like this stuff. But we're like, well, you know, we thought we'd be a bit better off since we can speak Arabic at like an intermediate level, because we could do all this stuff in Morocco. It's a different dialect, but we also knew how to say things in the dialect that Egyptians would understand. But no, it was just they don't want to sell it to you, and they're being a hard sell, basically. We tried haggling with them, you know. We even tried giving them falafel to be like, oh, come on, you know, here's delicious falafel. Like, here you go, brother. You can have this. We would like an overnight bus ticket. Come on. So that's what we ended up doing. Yeah. I know. So that's what we ended up doing. So we gave these bus station people some falafel, and then they're like, okay. And then we finally got our overnight bus back to Cairo.
It worked.
It worked.
Oh, that's brilliant.
But that story, I mean, seriously, it just goes up and down, up and down, up and down. Just like terrible. I mean, it was just stressful. Yeah, it was stressful.
Oh,
and
man.
We really were talking to these people, trying to give them falafel. Like, we were trying to talk to them for a long time. I imagine we were talking with them for about 30 minutes, just trying to get to them. Like, because we were not giving up. And we know this about like Arab people, I guess, that, yeah, like, they're really, really good at haggling. You got to know how to do it. You got to know how to bargain. You got to know all that stuff. We had some experience with it. But yeah, we were not taking no for an answer. And we saw that they still weren't doing anything. And we're like, okay, they want a bit of a bribe. So we're like, all right, well, we know that they'll love food. So then we're like, okay, no problem. And we bought them some falafel at a thing just right near. And we're like, okay, how about this? Does this work for you? Can we have the overnight bus now? And then they're like, oh! And
you got the snacks. It's all good.
Yep. And then we got it. And then we had long trek back to Cairo of 13 hours.
Oh my God. Sometimes like transport's just so much effort, isn't it?
It can be, yeah.
Like, okay, so my next story involving transport is, so I was in Vietnam. I've been in the country 2 days, right? Well, not even 2 full days. In fact, was it even on the first day, the first proper day or something? And because I arrived like late at night. So the trip had already started off a bit funny. Like the flights were fine, but basically, after the whole process of getting through Vietnamese immigration, which takes ages, even if you pre-bought your visa, you have to queue up to get a ticket, to queue up to do something else, and blah, blah, blah. The whole process took ages. By the time I'd made it to where the luggage was, the luggage belt was empty and my bag was missing, with all my clothes in, like everything. And I was like, great way to start off my teaching experience. I've got nothing. And it turns out someone had taken it off the conveyor belt and like hidden it round the side, which I
So
was
they
like,
took
whatever.
they took your bag off the conveyor belt and like tried to hide it.
Yeah,
Oh gosh.
but I was just like, for the love of God. But I got my bag and I'm like, it's all cool. But I noticed that the driving was like really suspect. I was just, and I was saying to people like, I can't believe there's not more car accidents here. I mean, there's not many cars in Vietnam anyway. Like if you've been, because cars are taxed at 100%, so that's why everyone's got motorbikes. So a lot of the cars
Oh.
that you see are taxis, but the standard of driving is shocking. And I kept saying to people like, I'm amazed there's not more problems. Literally within about 30 minutes of me saying it, not even that, our taxi crashes into another car, and I'm just like, for fuck's sake. And we knew that things weren't good when the driver turns around, looks at us, and just shouts, "Run!" And we were like, and so we were there, like there was a whole group of us, like volunteers, not just teaching, but there was also people doing like medical stuff and whatever, and childcare. But we were all living in the college together. And basically, they'd hired, the organisation had hired the guy like on the ground there, or like project coordinator or whatever, had hired all these taxis. We were on the way to the reunification palace. And to be fair, we luckily, when this happened, just down the road from it. But basically, we had to jump out the taxi and run because there was going to be probably a bit of a punch up. And the police in Vietnam are really, really corrupt. And if you ring the police for whatever reason, like if there's been a crime, even if you're the victim, they will still demand money off you too for using up their time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we had to leg it. And that was day one, like proper day one. I mean, we didn't really go in that many taxis like after that, to be fair. We didn't have like any more issues. Apart from the only thing that was a bit funny was so the careers counsellor at my school lives down the road from my granddad, which isn't even in the same town as where the school is. And her daughter was out in Vietnam and she'd been teaching English in like Hanoi, but she'd bought a motorbike with her, like they weren't officially boyfriend and girlfriend at the time. They bought motorbikes and they were doing the Ho Chi Minh Trail down. And she'd lost her backpack off the back of a motorbike with her passport in, driver's license, debit card, like everything had gone. So I brought her out some Christmas presents and some spare like cards and stuff like that, like bank cards. So I met up with her, and she said she was going to take me out to a bar. So I figured, oh, we're going in a car taxi. So I wore a dress. No, I was going on the back of a friend's motorbike, wearing a dress. And I tell you what, it must have looked almost obscene because I had to hike this thing up to get on the back. And I was just thinking, for the love of Christ, if I fall off this, like I'm buggered. Like I've got bare legs, I'm gonna be down to the bone. Which luckily we're all okay. But I was like, this is how I die. Motorbike accident in Vietnam. Within 2 days.
I've been on a lot of motorbikes in Thailand, because they have a lot of them too, but I know Vietnam has way more. And it's because of that taxing. I didn't know it was that high. That's, yeah, wow.
Yeah, I mean, they call Ho Chi Minh the city of a million motorbikes
Yeah.
because, I mean, there's more than that. And there's a weird, you have to, like, it sounds weird. In Vietnam, you have to learn how to cross a road again because it's not the
Yeah.
same as like in the UK. They don't have, like, they'll have zebra crossings, but nobody like uses them. And they don't have
That's what I've heard.
like crosses, like with the lights or whatever. Basically, you wait for a gap and you start walking. No, you just walk. You do not alter your speed. You do not stop, and the bikes will go around you. And
Yeah,
I tell you what, it scares the living you the first few times you do it because you're utterly convinced every time you do it that's going to be the last steps you ever take. No, they just go around you. It's fine. But you have to
it's
have
so
to
mind-blowing.
Oh, it's so weird. Genuinely, as part of like our induction, they gave us lessons on how to cross the road.
Really?
That was included as part of it. We had like language lessons and cookery lessons and things like that. And one of the lessons, and they took us out to places like attractions and stuff. But one of the lessons was how to cross the road in Vietnam because it's not like anywhere else.
No.
You can't. If you stand there waiting for them to let you across, you will be stood there all day because they won't do it. They'll just go around you. It's fine. But you cannot alter your speed or direction or stop. That's when you get hit.
When you stop?
When you stop, yeah, because they're not expecting you to. Literally, once you've started crossing that road, you have got to keep going. You've got to, because otherwise, if you stop or anything, that's when they will drive into you. You just have to, you have to commit, and I mean commit. Like you're like, right, I'm crossing the road now, and just go.
It's like that's.
No, I'm not making this up. I promise you. Ask anybody that's been to Vietnam. You wait for a little bit of a gap, and you just go. You don't have to run. You can walk, but you can't change your speed, change direction, or stop.
Yeah,
you just
that
go
is
until you've reached the side.
That is scary.
Oh God, yeah, it's scary.
That's very scary. Oh dear. How did the little kids like cross the road?
They just walk and don't stop.
They don't think it's scary. Oh God.
Yeah, you get used to it, like in a weird way. Like it was weird. So this is probably weird. So when I came back to the UK, I'd gotten so used to like the mindset of when I cross, like pedestrian crossings aren't a thing, and I just go. I nearly got ran down like within a day of coming back to the UK because I forgot that in the UK that's not how things work. And the car didn't appreciate me, had to emergency stop, and then I got some naughty words shouted at me. But to be fair, yeah, I did walk out into the road.
Yeah, I know. I had a bit of like something like that too, because now Morocco, they don't have it as like bad as Vietnam does, like where you just have to like you just walk, don't change your pace, but you definitely like you weave through like people on the road, but you like stop and then you like go and then you like stop and like you like stop in the middle of the road while there are things going around you and just wait for a gap to keep moving. So like
no.
oh yeah, it's much different than Vietnam, but it's like similar because you have to like just go out in the middle of the road when there is things going by. Because yeah, that was
it's easier because it's all motorbikes. They don't take up as much room. They can go around you, but that lorry ain't stopping for you.
Yeah, I know. But a lot of people in Morocco, they walk though all the time though. So most of the time, if you were walking, you could just look over and there would be like a family trying to cross too, or you know, some other random solo people just walking across. So then you would, because they walk all the time. I don't know, they just like to. So you would just look over and like if you see someone else trying to cross at the same time, you would just like kind of go near them. So you would do it at the same time and maneuver how they would.
Oh
But
man.
that was an adventure. That was something. Yeah, I had to relearn how to cross the road in Morocco.
I tell you what, you take pedestrian crossings for granted, don't you? When you
Yeah,
press the nice button and you wait for the green man and you walk across all like la 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 la, and then
yeah.
you get to Vietnam and they're just like, no.
Nope.
They don't even stop at red lights most of the time.
Yeah.
So
The
you can't
traffic
even
thing.
trust that there's a red light going to stop because they're just ignored.
Yikes. Well, that's the thing, because when I was living in Thailand, I really wanted to learn how to drive a motorbike. But it terrified, because I mean, it helps you out more. Like just in different situations, because some places when you visit them they might have transport, but maybe they've made it expensive for tourists, and you're like, well, let's just rent a motorbike for like $5 for a whole day, you know.
It's
But
how much?
like $5 for a whole day.
How?
Yeah, but yeah, I know.
That is ridiculous.
And like if you're renting a motorbike for, let's say, like you're in a place for a week or two, then you can get it down to like $2 a day, because they'll give you a bargain since you're renting it for longer.
God, that's so cheap.
Oh yeah. So I was in lots of situations where like, oh come on, I need to just learn how to drive a motorbike so I can just, you know, do the cheapest thing for transport, and also I can like go and explore all around on my own. But I was terrified trying to learn, and I just gave up because I was so scared of the other people on the road, because they drive like idiots. Because there's no rules. They don't, it's kind of like Vietnam, I'm assuming. Maybe not as like crazy as Vietnam with the traffic and the motorbikes, but Thailand is definitely like right below Vietnam, I'd say. They don't stop. I saw people like almost nearly running over people all the time. It's just, I was like, I wanted to learn how to drive a motorbike, but I was so scared of the other people on the road, because I was like, well, I mean, I know I'll be okay, but I don't like, well, yeah, you have to watch at all times, everyone coming at you, and people, they'll just turn around in the middle of the road when there are so many people coming at them. They'll just do a U-turn, or they'll just like stop in the middle of the road, or they'll just cross over on like sidewalks, and like you always have to watch out so you're not getting hit by a motorbike. And I was like, no, like I would just be like, it just made me just so stressed thinking about it, because I wanted to learn how to drive, but I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to see what's going on, like, because you have to look at every direction at every time, and also like the stuff that people have on their motorbikes. I mean, I don't know if Vietnam does this too, they probably do, but they just stuff so many things on there, like people are holding like chickens like in the sides, and they're like driving, they've got like 3 kids on the back.
A Ranger family of 6.
Yeah,
and the best one that I saw, a fridge freezer and 3 people, and I mean like a fridge freezer, a full size job, and 3 people, and I was just like, what am I seeing?
I know.
I mean, in Vietnam, it's actually illegal for a tourist to rent a motorbike. They've made it. Yes, but you know, I said about Vietnam's police being like
you
really
just give them a bit of a bribe, right?
Yeah, basically, in Vietnam, $5 gets you out of everything. As
cool.
I found when I got arrested.
Wait.
I told you more stories.
What? All right. Come on, I want to hear this.
You got to hear it. Right, so,
what?
in Ho Chi Minh,
$5.
Little island that's off the coast that belongs to Ho Chi Minh that I can't remember how to pronounce the name, but it's basically, it's known to locals as Monkey Island. And I wanted to go there because they've got loads of wild monkeys and wild alligators that you can go and see, and it's meant to have some really nice beach as well. And basically there's no like normal public transport that goes there. But one of my students, who was Vietnamese American, so he spoke English and Vietnamese, he was learning to be a tour guide, because the college that I was at was, sorry, I've got a really itchy nose. It was a hospitality college for people learning to be hotel management or chefs or restaurant management or working in the laundry department of hotel or tour guides. And his teacher, because he wanted to get to know those teachers and whatever better anyway, his teacher said to him, like, well, why don't you take her, and it can be some practice for you for being a tour guide. So I'm like, great. And he's got his own motorbike. Only thing is that I'd only been on a motorbike twice before, and not for very long periods of time, because we always had a rule in my family of no motorbikes, because my granny's first husband had died on one, and I know of 5 people that have died on one. So it was always like a no motorbike thing. But I was like, okay, gonna have to do it. Well, we got there, and you take the ferry across. I didn't realise that with the ferry, the whole thing was going to take about 3 hours to get there. So I looked like John Wayne, like when I got off the back of this motorbike. Like literally, my thighs were, by the end of the day, I couldn't walk properly. And then I still had to go out into town after that later on. And I was like, I can't walk. This is just ridiculous. But anyway, so we get to this island. We've gotten off the ferry, and we're driving along. It's like from where the ferry docks, it's about maybe 30 kilometers to where the Monkey Island, well, it's all called Monkey Island, but there's like one bit that's like more of an attraction where you can see them, and like a park type thing. So we're driving along, and we are, I'm not joking, the only vehicle that we'd passed in like 5-10 minutes. It's like the place is deserted. There's nothing on our side of the road at all. We saw a couple of vehicles really going the other way to go to the main city, and there's this copper waiting at the side of the road, and he takes one look at me, sees that I am very white, as I kept being told in Vietnam, because they see pale skin as being like the ideal. So I was like, that was another thing that kept happening. People kept stroking my face and telling me how white I was, which as a goth I was like, yes, I am very proud of this fact. But I also thought it was very bizarre.
Well, yeah, that's uncomfortable if someone just comes up and yeah. That would make me comfortable.
A little bit. I mean, there was one time though that was just so much fun. So basically, I went to a local beauty salon, and I was having a manicure and a pedicure. And at one point, I had 4 ladies, one on each hand, one on each foot. I was like, this is how rich people feel. It was amazing. And they were stroking my face and telling me like how amazing my skin was. I was like, I could cry right now and die happy. It was amazing. And it only cost me like £10.
Yeah.
For gel nails as well. And gel.
Oh yeah. I know Vietnam is way cheaper than Thailand, but I all the time was like, yeah, Thailand's so cheap. I can live like a luxurious queen.
Oh, I did keep having my nails done just because it was so cheap and I could. I was like, this is
yeah.
Anyway, so we're on the motorbike and we're going down this road with we're driving in the middle lane, because there was nobody, and I think we pulled out into the middle because we saw the coppers at the side of the road, and we didn't know whether they were waiting to come on, because they drive on the right. Yes, the right. And the police took one look at me, got on his motorbike and started following us, put the siren on, and my friend, tour guide student, he didn't want to pull over because he knows the police are dodgy, everybody knows that. And eventually we were like, we're going to have to stop because this dude's been following us for miles, he's not going to give up. He made us pull over at the side of the road where we couldn't really be seen, behind some bushes, and he basically arrested us and told me that I needed to give him $500 on the spot, or he was going to take away our bike and he was going to leave us stranded 20 kilometers from the port with no water. There's no public transport, and it is hot. It's like 40 degrees Celsius, no shade. And so I was like, and I was just really trampy that day. And I was like, do I look like I even have $500 to my name? Like, really? So in the end, we ended up having to give him $5 each. But here's where you know that he's corrupt. So he had a special bribery tin welded onto the frame of his motorbike, and he made us put in the money ourselves so that it was voluntary and didn't have his fingerprints on. But he actually had a money tin with a slot in the top for putting coins and notes in.
Oh my gosh.
And we had to pay it because it was like, we can't afford to get stranded here. There's nobody coming past. It is a long, long walk. It is really hot and there's no shade. Like, we are at serious risk of getting like heat stroke or something, or like trying to get back to the port. So we had to pay it. But I got a cool story out of the fact that I got arrested in Vietnam for being white.
Yep.
And he made the excuse for why he pulled us over is that he said that we were in the wrong lane and we were speeding. And it was like, mate, no. If you're gonna go with some, at least make it like, you know, believable, not just like crap. So yeah, technically I was arrested for being white.
Yeah. Yep, you did. So basically, if you paid $5, then he was like, all right, and was on his merry way.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And cleared up. Yeah. We had to give him $5 each. And unfortunately, my student, $5 in Vietnamese currency is quite a lot. So my student insisted on paying for his, but I bought him some lunch because that was like all of his money that he had on him.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of like cost of things in Vietnam, we used to go to a bar called 4,000 Dong because that's the price that they charge for a beer. At the
That's
time,
like nothing.
It was 8p in British money for a beer.
Uh-huh.
So we used to go in a group of like 25 of us, 20 of us, and we would just off the bat order 100 beers and they'd just keep them coming because it's the cheapest round you'd ever buy anybody. Honestly, they'd see us coming down the street and they would start putting together all the tables and chairs, all the spare ones in the place because they knew we were going to come in and we were going to drop some cash. But like, in terms of our money, it was like nothing, but like we just paid all of their wages for like the entire night and then some. And then we'd order like random food as well, like what do we have? Deep fried jellyfish. That was awful. We had stingray as well. We'd order like, we'd find the menu and just order like really like strange, unique dishes just because we could.
Yes.
So they used to love us women because we'd be like, yeah, just keep it coming. Yeah. Whatever the bill is at the end, we'll pay it. It's fine. Just get us drunk.
I know. I was meant to go to Vietnam, but yeah, I mean, all of my plans around Southeast Asia was canceled because my plan was like to go teach in Thailand, and that was going to be my base because in terms of like Southeast Asia, I was like, yeah, you know, I'll go to Thailand first and see about it and see how long I'd like to stay. And I was like, all right. And I was going to go on holidays over to all the Southeast Asian countries, all of them. And then see about like, oh, you know, just backpack around and see like what I like and if I want to live in another Southeast Asian country. But geez, all of it was just canceled because it was all of that was when Corona happened. So I was meant to go to Vietnam. I was so excited, and I'm still excited because I'm going. But
Vietnam really is amazing. But my advice to you is to tell them that you're any nationality but American. because they're
Yeah,
still a little bit like funny about what happened with the war.
I know. Well, actually, okay, so fun fact, my dad, he actually is Vietnamese.
Oh, cool.
So I'm actually Vietnamese American, but I haven't returned to Vietnam because actually
Uh,
I don't know how they feel about those mixed kids because I'm Vietnamese and American. So it's a very
from my experience, they're pretty all right. I mean, that student of mine, I mean, he was living in Vietnam anyway, but they were completely fine with him.
yeah,
And the benefit that he had is that he spoke both languages fluently, which was like
yeah.
a massive help. So basically, when this police officer arrested us, he pretended like that he was, well, he said that he was Vietnamese American, but he pretended that he'd been raised in America, so didn't speak Vietnamese, to try and like pull the tourist card and to get out of it, because if they knew that he spoke fluent Vietnamese, we'd have probably been charged a lot more.
Really.
Yeah, and it worked. It worked. But he was saying to me afterwards, he was like, I understood everything he said, and this is what he was saying. And I was like, that's how I knew that the excuses for pulling us over, because the police officer you'd only speak Vietnamese.
Hmm. Yeah.
But from what I've seen, like it's fine.
Okay,
If
well that's good because I haven't. My father, he hasn't returned to Vietnam, and I have never been. So, um, yeah,
it's
because I mean,
I
my dad, he
really
came
enjoy
over
it.
because of the war and everything. He moved to the
Yeah,
U.S.
I mean, when I say that they're still a bit funny, an example is so at the Coochie tunnels,
Okay.
um, which I do recommend you go to. Really interesting. Um, they before you go round and do the tour, they have you watch a video first, and they go on and on about the brave Vietnamese schoolgirl who was 7 blowing up American soldiers with a rocket launcher, and they go on and on and on about all the atrocities that America has committed. So they haven't forgotten yet,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I wouldn't let that put you off.
Mhm. Well, I was planning to go anyways, and I still want to go back.
Oh, it is
Well, I haven't
amazing.
been, but yeah, I still want to go. Like, I haven't
I
changed my mind
am
about that.
for the south, and I want to go back and start in the north, and then do the Ho Chi Minh Trail and work my way to the south. But Dalat, amazing. Funny story. Well, not for, I suppose it counts holiday horror story. So we took an overnight bus to Dalat, and it's a sleeper bus, so it's got like those weird seats that recline, like not quite flat. But basically, there was a group of us going, and I was separated for some reason from the rest of my group. Like they gave it, you have like an allocated seat, and they put me with a load of like random Vietnamese men, like
Uh-huh.
middle-aged men, and they there's a kind of like joke in Vietnam that everybody who drives has got 3 arms, one for the gear stick, one for the steering wheel, and one for the horn, because they drive like you'll know when the vehicle's around, because all you hear day and night is and so this is a night bus, right? You're supposed to be asleep, and you'll be there, you finally drifted off, you've got your little blanket and your little pillow, and you're tucked into your little seat thing, and vehicles will just come in the centre of the road towards you, and then the driver, not caring the fact that everyone's asleep, it'll be and it'll be like 2 in the morning. You're like, shut up!
Wow,
And this
that's
is
loud.
like a constant. Like
Mm.
I've never been somewhere where I've heard so many like vehicle horns in my life. It's just like in the UK, if you've used the horn, you're really mad. Over there, you use the horn just if you feel like it. It's just whatever. But it's like, do you not realise you've got like 50 people behind you that are all like asleep? And oh my god, the service station. Oh Jesus, right. So Dalat is like 6 hours drive. and they stop off at the services. Well, it's 6 hours with the service stop, so about 5.5. They stopped off at the service station. Oh, Jesus. Oh, it gives me the shivers just thinking about this place. It was literally in the arsehole of nowhere, and the toilets. Oh my God. I can still, like, when I think about it, I can still, like, picture the smell. Because you could smell the toilets coming. And they were pretty much all, like, the hole in the floor type. And just, and you could tell they have not been cleaned, like, ever. It's, oh God. And even the women's is filth. And because their sewerage system is so poor, you can't flush the toilet paper. So it smells even more, and it's really hot. Grim.
Yeah, that explains
Grim
itself.
is the word. And so we eventually, like, we made it to Dalat. And the great thing about Dalat is when you come in on the bus, they have free minibus, like shuttle buses, that will take you to wherever your accommodation is for free, which is great.
Wow.
Only ours was the last one, because you get off the bus and they have people, there's a guy there, and you tell him where you're staying, and he organises you into groups for each minibus and loads you on. And ours was the last one to go, because of course it was. And we wanted to do canyoning, which is like abseiling down waterfalls, and that's like the #1 thing to do in Dalat, or one of the #1 things to do. And basically, to go and book this, you basically just say to your accommodation owner, like, oh, I want to do this, and they sort it for you. So basically, we turned up at this accommodation. It's 4:30 in the morning, and we'd booked a private room for the 5 of us, and it turns out they'd given away our room. So they split us up and put us into 2 different rooms. Oh yeah, the owner was drunk. He was drunk when he answered the door. He was asleep. But to be fair, in his, like, give him his dues, we said to him when we got there at 4:30 in the morning, we wanted to do canyoning the next day. He rang up a guy, and at breakfast the next morning at 7:30, he's like, oh, I've booked it. They're coming at 8:30 for you. This is what you need. And he cooked us like Vietnamese omelette and like the French bread that they have over there. And yeah, we went canyoning. He sorted it all out for us, like, at that time in the morning. So, props to him if he can get that done whilst that drunk. And I mean, he was trolleyed.
Wow.
So yeah. It was really good. I mean, I lost a sock whilst canyoning. I did lose a sock in the middle of it, but I brought some, I was wearing like old rubbish socks anyway, so I wasn't like too sad. It's just I had to like finish the trip with only one sock on. Finish the day. And then we went on another trip down to see the floating markets, and we organised it. So our tourist college had a travel agent on site, which was really cool. And we booked the tour through them. And to be fair, they haven't been on these tours. They don't know. They just got what they're given, kind of thing. And they've removed this tour since, because we complained. Basically, I know it was only $25, including accommodation. But the accommodation that we were meant to be in, turns out that they double booked it. So me and my group couldn't stay there. So they sent us off to some other accommodation that was like a mile, if not more, away from everybody else's accommodation, and like on the side of town where nothing was open. I managed to get some food just because there happened to be like a stall on the street corner with a lady doing like the banh mi sandwiches, but there was literally like it was just nowhere near everything else. And it turns out it was a bit of like a blanket factory tour, in that they took us to like these extra places, and they were trying to coerce us into buying stuff because they get commission on it. And it was like all the time, it's like we couldn't just go anywhere. And there was this one point where I desperately needed the toilet, and I needed it for hours, but there wasn't any bathrooms at these places they were taking us to. Yeah. And then we got to this one place, and like, oh yeah, we've got a toilet. It's over there. And I go, and it's a shed, like a mini shed, with just a hole in the floor and a pitch dug underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
And the smell, and I was like, do you know what? I don't think I need to go anymore. Like, the smell was just awful in the heat as well, like 40-degree heat.
Yep.
And I held it for another 2 hours.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think my kidneys were quite my friends that day, but I was like,
Yeah, it's painful when you hold it. Ooh, it is
it was,
painful.
but less painful than trying to go in that shed.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, up to you really. Cause yeah, when I've done lots of like overnight buses, sometimes they didn't have like a toilet in the bus. Cause I had done a visa run to Laos for getting my Thai work visa. It's pretty common. And so on my way there, I took the nicer bus because like you leave from Bangkok, so it's like really easy to navigate, like, you know, what kind of bus you can do. You can upgrade to a nicer bus, you know, all that kinds of stuff. So I had a toilet on the way to Laos, and it's a pretty long bus ride because you had to go. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty long bus ride. It's like overnight. But then when I was done with my visa run and everything, and I had done all that sort of that, when I came back, I just, yeah, I don't know. I somehow booked the wrong one. It was a language barrier problem again. And I was also trying to practice my Thai because I'd been in Thailand for probably about half a year at this point. And I thought I communicated it right, but I didn't. So it was really just like I was trying to practice my Thai. It didn't go as smoothly as I thought it did. And there wasn't a toilet on the bus for my overnight bus. And just horrible.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, that was horrible. We did end up like stopping like somewhere on the way. And it wasn't like super nice or anything, but it wasn't as bad as what you're describing either. It was like, just, but I was desperate. I didn't touch anything. It was just like the waters, you know, and you just go and, oh. Because I was like, I'm not going to be able to sleep if I don't go to the bathroom right now. Like,
yeah, I'm one of these that I have to go to the toilet before I can sleep. I can't. Otherwise, I'll lie down and I'm like, I need to go.
Well, yeah, because you gotta go.
You gotta go. Oh,
traveling. I love it. I miss all these stories, even though these are like the horrible parts of it, but it makes it a good story, you know?
It does. I mean, I think other than Cuba, there's only been like one destination that I've kind of like wanted to leave.
Oh, really?
All the places I've been. And so basically, I can't say last year anymore.
Oh.
Oh, this is good. So in like 2 years ago, we went to New Zealand, finally. I've got some family out there, and we hadn't seen them in like a decade. And I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan, and I was just like so looking forward to go. And New Zealand was amazing, and we went to Singapore on the way because that's how like far it is. Like you have to change planes from Singapore. I mean, from the UK, it's as far away as you can get as physically possible. And Singapore was amazing. Like I would happily go back there any day. But on the way home, we had to go to Hong Kong instead. And we were meant to be there 2 nights. So basically, we were flying from Christchurch, which is where my family live, and we had to get a flight up to Auckland, and then the flight from Auckland to Hong Kong. And so basically, the plane that was coming in to Christchurch had, I think, just come from Auckland. And it was running behind by, I'm not joking, 10 minutes. Literally 10 minutes. And they got us all on and seated really fast, because they're New Zealand, they're pretty good on the airline scale. And they got us all in. And whilst we were up in the air, instructions came through saying that because we were delayed, basically a lot of us had connecting flights. There was, I think, 7 of us on the plane that were connecting at Auckland to go to Hong Kong, and we were told like, it's okay, and I had checked online before I booked the flights, at the airport when I was there and everything, and they said, yes, your bags are checked through to Hong Kong, because the flight that we were going on from Auckland, Hong Kong was a Cathay Pacific Air New Zealand code share flight. Your bags are checked to Hong Kong. You do not have to worry. It went from that to, okay, your bags are still checked through, but you need to change terminals and you've got to be quick about it. To then another thing came through, and they said, actually, they're not carrying your bags through. You need to go through arrivals, pick up your bags, go to the other airport, go to the, because we're at the domestic airport, change to the international airport, which is not the same building. And they said, oh, it's okay, it's only like a 5-minute walk. We ran for 10 minutes with big, and I mean like big rucksacks, 65-litre jobs, and mini wheelie suitcases and handbag. Because we had to pack for 4 seasons, so we needed like kit, a lot of luggage. And we ran, and we were told, it's okay, they know you're coming, they are holding the plane, they are holding baggage drop. And we were like, wicked, let's do this. And they said, there's a shuttle bus that will go to the other terminal. Well, of course, the shuttle bus wasn't sodding there, was it? So we had to run, right? So we run, and we were told, when we get to arrivals, go to the Cathay Pacific desk, which of course was at the other side of the terminal, because it would be. So we get into the building and we run and we run and we run, and we get down there and they say, no, it's an Air New Zealand thing, you have to go and speak to them. And I'm like, run back, and Air New Zealand was at the other side of the terminal. Run back, they're like, no, it's definitely Cathay Pacific, it's their plane that you are going on. Although it's a code share, it is their plane. We run back down, we've closed baggage drop. And I'm like, are you actually taking this right now? Because you knew we were coming. And they were like, oh, we've had no such communications. I was like, then who was the air stewardess on the plane talking to? Like, and so basically they were like, even though the plane was still sitting there on the tarmac, they just wouldn't let us deposit our bags, 7 of us. Like, it's not many bags to count on, is it? And they didn't give us a choice in the matter. They just said, oh, we've rebooked you on for another flight. And I'm like, well, when is it? 10.5 hours later. And they gave us, well, what was the equivalent of like 40 quid? So like, what's that, like $55 for the 2 of us, food for the entire day. And if, like, you know, airport prices, that gets you like nothing. And I'm just like, and this airport, it's not a very big one. Like, there's nothing to do there. It's not like Singapore's Changi Airport. There's nothing going on. And we were just like, what do I do for 10.5 hours? Like, I can't even sleep. And the thing that annoyed me the most, right? So I was looking forward to having 1 out of my 4 long-haul flights not being a red-eye overnight flight. Ruined all of them overnight. So in the end, we ended up going into Auckland city centre and just walking around and whatever. They let us drop the bags off, and they did refund me back the price of the bus tickets to get into the city centre and back, which was okay of them. And then, so that meant we were going to be missing our first night's accommodation. And I thought, it's fine, I booked it through booking.com. I will just go on there and I will contact the accommodation to let them know what's happened. Turns out that the booking through booking.com was technically through a sister website, Agoda or something, and the accommodation had no contact details. So I couldn't tell them that we were going to miss the first night. So eventually we got onto the plane and we had the last row. So we can't even recline our seats properly because it's at the back where the wall is. and they ran out of food. So because they served everyone in front of us because we were the back row. So for a 13-hour flight, what did I have? I had a pot noodle. And I was like, and the seats were really hard and uncomfortable, made out of this weird plastic that if you recline your seat, you can't help but slide down. I've dropped off to sleep for like not very long. I woke up, I was half under the seat in front of me, for God's sake. We arrive eventually and we take a taxi to the accommodation, which is supposed to have 24-hour check-in. I get there and nobody's there. Nobody. It's in this really weird building on Nathan Road, which is a road notorious for being a bit trashy. And somebody, before we've even made it into the building, there are people outside trying to sell us fake designer goods and prostitutes. So that was great. And then we made it up to the right floor and we couldn't find the accommodation because it turns out this building's like a weird, like empty square shape. And there's all these like doors off it. And each door, behind each door is loads of rooms and they're all owned by different people. So we couldn't find our accommodation. Find it eventually. They don't speak a word of English. And I'm like, they only speak, I think it's Punjabi, which I do not know any Punjabi. And I'm just like, why is this happening to me? And eventually somebody turns up and lets us in. It turns out that all the good reviews were faked. The toddler of the woman that appears to be kind of like running it is being toilet trained and is running up and down the corridors, messing himself. Behind door number 1, there is a man violently making himself vomit for the entire trip because you could hear him. Oh yeah, the walls were like paper thin. Behind another room that was near ours, there's a woman screaming down the phone at all hours in Cantonese. And it turns out they gave away our room. And I was just like, I am literally this close to jumping out of the sodding window. They gave us another room, but they were like, oh, you've got to come back in 2 hours to move back into the room you were supposed to be in. And I was like, no. You don't give away my room and then tell me that I can't even like go anywhere or do anything because I've got to come back. And they were like, oh, we'll move your bags for you. And I was like, I do not trust this bitch. So I booby trapped my bag by putting all my dirty undies at the top. So I was like, she ain't going rifling through that for anything because they'd been on for 13 hours. Yeah, she ain't going through that on the bloody plane. No, they've been on for longer than that. They've been on for like a full day because it had been the overnight flight and everything. And then I got heat exhaustion. And so we came back to the room and I was like, I just need a nap before we go out to watch the music and light show because I just feel really ill. And sweet Jesus, I've never seen a bed like it and I never want to again. The mattress was 2 inches thick.
Yeah, that's
literally.
Nothing.
That was the mattress. I could feel every spring and coil in the mattress and on the bed thing below. I am only 5'4". My feet stuck off the end of it. The aircon did not work. The TV was at an angle. I mean, they put a TV in and how they installed it, I don't know, because you could only watch it if you were lying upside down with a broken neck because it was at such a weird position on the wall. I was just like, I don't even understand how they've even managed to like attach it up there. And it was just horrid. I've never been in. I mean, I did think about just walking out and leaving and checking into the Holiday Inn that was like 6 doors down. And I really did consider it. And I was looking on booking.com for somewhere else to stay, but I thought it can't be that bad. Yes, it really could. It was disgusting.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
No.
And where was this in the world? Where was it again?
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Oh, and to top it all off, we were there during the riots.
Oh.
So we couldn't relax or enjoy anything because there were police everywhere, and like I'm sure you've seen the news about what the police were getting up to, including with the tourists. So we couldn't like chill because I was like, I don't want to be some statistic in the newspaper. And the riots were meant to be going on at the airport that we were flying from on the day we were meant to be flying back. So we ended up having to go to the airport like really, really early because they said they were going to disrupt the transport systems. I mean, it turns out they have abandoned those plans and it was fine. But it's like we couldn't just like chill and relax because we were like, what if we can't get to the airport?
Of course.
But they've got something really cool in Hong Kong though, a baggage drop-off system. If you go to, there's like 2 train stations that do it. You can check into your flight at the train station and they've got baggage drop at the train station. You just leave your luggage, like if you've got your flights later in the day and you don't want to drag your bags around, put it in the baggage drop. They take it to the plane for you and put it on for you.
That's nice.
Which I was like, this is amazing. And they have a free shuttle bus to take you to the train station to do that.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, the UK needs to get on board with this stuff because like this is amazing.
Yeah. The US needs to update its transport because ours
I hear you.
embarrassing.
UK is absolutely rubbish. Like in comparison to like so many other places that I've been. Like Hong Kong and Singapore have by far, and Japan have by far got the best transport systems.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Oh no, genuinely, they are amazing. Like they're cheap, they're fast, they're driverless. A lot of them, not in Japan, I don't think, but in Singapore and Hong Kong, it's driverless. But it's all really safe. Like they've got barriers, so you can't have somebody getting onto the tracks and disrupting the service. And they're so frequent. They're like every like between like 5 and 15 minutes. You're never waiting for long. It's amazing. And they're so fast. Like when they're going, like they're so rapid. You get to your destination so much faster. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
what I've learned from traveling, which would upset a lot of Americans because they just don't know, is like we don't have good transportation, and it looks like you're in like an underdeveloped country when you're trying to take some of the train stations around. Like they aren't on time. You've got like homeless people around in the train stations hanging out. You've got people like you're just waiting. Like the stations are dirty. It smells. Like
you are describing Britain. Genuinely.
And if one of these U.S. cities even has one, because a lot, so.
It's just, it's like, it's embarrassing, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially like when you eventually make it to these other Southeast Asian countries and you go on their transport, you'll be like,
this is amazing.
You'll be like really happy but really sad at the same time.
Yeah. Well, even like in Bangkok in Thailand, their transit system, it's amazing. Like, ooh, that was, yeah, it's good.
Oh, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't hear like people talking about their transport.
What?
I've never really heard anybody talking about their transport system as being good. Like I've heard people like talk about like, you know, the tuk-tuks and stuff, or rickshaws or whatever they're called, but like not about any other transport really.
Well, I'm only talking about the metro station that they have in Bangkok. The metro that goes all around. It's very effective. Yeah,
I like it when you've got a decent like metro system.
Yeah, they have a really good metro system, but I mean, I'm comparing it definitely to the US.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I find in New York we use the subway, and I found it to be really awkward. Like, so to compare it to London, I don't know whether you've been on London's Underground, but on the Underground, at every stop, they they tell you like the tourist attractions that are at that stop, like, so get off here if you want to go to this, this, and this. But in New York, there's none of that, and there's no like signposting once you get off the train as to where to go. So we just found it generally quite awkward and difficult to get around. We're never
Yep,
sure whether we were in the right place or not.
I know, it's very confusing. Not super effective either.
No, and I found the stations were a little too far apart as well, some of them.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like, they're decent, but they aren't like amazing. You can't say that they're like amazing. They're just like,
Yeah.
just decent.
I think London's transport system, like, and I'm not saying this to be biased because I'm British. I'm not the biggest fan of London anyway, but I think that London's is better than America's. Like, not America's, but like New York's.
Well, yeah, you can say that. I haven't been to London, but I definitely would probably imagine it's a lot better than New York's for sure.
It's just, in London, they make it really easy for tourists to get around and to find places. And I feel like in New York, they don't. They expect you to already like know where you're going. And like we found it difficult. Like you get off at a station and there wouldn't be like a map telling you to where to go or like signposting you to like touristy stuff. But in London, like they tell you on the train and they've got maps, and it's just so much easier to find your way about.
Yeah, I know. Cause I actually went to New York recently because that's when I was coming back into the US. I went and I haven't been before. And so I had just gotten back from Thailand and I was in New York and I was using the public transit with my friend and I was like, what the bloody hell is this? Like, I was like, no.
No, this is
like,
not.
yeah, I know. Because my friend also, she went to university in London. So she's an American, but yeah, she was like, oh yeah, like ours sucks. Our transportation sucks here. I'm like, yeah, it does. Like, what the bloody hell? I thought New York's would be like top notch, but
yeah, us too. And I was just like, oh, it's just
yeah.
Especially considering like the last place that we went to before New York was Japan, where their transport is amazing. So to like compare it to New York was a bit like, oh.
It's like, yeah, they're not doing it right, are they? And also the other cities around in the US, like not the major cities like LA and like New York and like Miami, Chicago, like if you go to another really big city in the US, their transportation, no.
Yeah.
Like
we found that they expect you to drive.
Yeah. I don't like it. I know how to drive and everything, but since I've come back from traveling and everything, I don't have a car anymore and I'm just like, what?
You're like, what do I do kind of thing.
Yeah, always. But I'm not trying to buy a car right now because my plan is to get back to traveling once, hopefully. I'm just waiting. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's not been the best 12 months.
No. It's
well, at least like 9 months. 9 months has been like pretty rubbish.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. Have you got any like where that you want to go like for your first trip when they say that travel's like okay again?
Oh geez. Well, the thing is, I mean, I'd like to say somewhere, but I don't know what will be open to where that can happen, you know? But I really want to go back to Southeast Asia because I had all of these plans for all the countries I wanted to go to. So, I mean, if any of them open, like, ooh, like, just, celebrate. I'll be singing on the plane. I'm on my way, you know, just so excited. Yeah. So
I
hopefully,
think
hopefully.
we've said like, because at the moment, like if you've heard in the news, like Britain's in for like full lockdown.
I have heard.
So, yeah, we're going nowhere for 6 weeks. Um, and I think we've said like we just want to go away for like a long weekend when they say we can, and we're not even like really bothered where we go, but preferably somewhere that we haven't been before. But we just want to go away. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to go away for Christmas, like when Egypt wasn't happening, and I was like, oh, we could go to the Canary Islands still. And then when I was looking at flights and I was going to book them that day, and then the government said, yeah, you can't go to the Canaries anymore. You've got to like quarantine for 2 weeks when you get home. And I was just like, and then a lot of people went to Dubai, and I was like, oh, I could happily go to Dubai. Everything's like open there.
Yeah.
But everyone else had the same idea, and like all the flights went, and the only flights that
Uh,
were left required at least one change, which normally Dubai would be a direct flight, but
yeah.
they wanted like double the price for a flight that involved a transfer from an airport that wasn't near my house, and I was just like,
Yeah.
and we'd have to like organise getting the COVID test, and we'd have to have the COVID test done on like Christmas Eve. And I was just like,
Yeah. No
oh.
idea. I know.
So we didn't go in the end.
Yeah. Hmm.
I miss
Yeah.
travel.
I miss it a lot too. I've only been back to the US for about a month now, and I'm just like, oh, I want to be back traveling. But
What was it like being in, I'm guessing you were in Thailand during lockdown.
yeah, I was.
What was it like over there? Because you're the second Instagrammer that I know that was in Thailand during the pandemic when everything
Oh,
was
really?
locked down. Yeah,
I
but he
know
came
someone
back
else too.
ages ago.
Oh, yeah. Phew. I stuck it out. Um, honestly, the government really had a tight hold on what we all were doing. Um, and depending on where you were in Thailand, you have a bit of a different experience. Because I actually was on an island in Thailand. And so I had a much different experience compared to like other people
Yeah.
in Thailand, because like if you're in Bangkok, like yeah, everything went into a full lockdown. In the US we call this like a martial law, because there was, you know, police and everyone outside making sure you don't go
Oh,
places.
God, yeah.
So I mean that was, yeah, I mean that was really scary.
Yeah.
That was like when they first announced a full lockdown back in I guess it was probably like the first week of March. But we already were doing like precautions before that, like a slight change into a lockdown in February. But so we went into a full lockdown. So you couldn't, wherever you were, you couldn't move, you couldn't go out, you couldn't do anything.
What if you needed food?
So you could go and buy food like once a week.
Jesus.
Yeah, so it was very, very strict. But I was on an island and they wouldn't let anyone leave or go out or anything. Like you couldn't leave the island. And there were no COVID cases on this island, so I never felt worried about getting COVID or anything.
Right.
So that was good. That felt comforting. But they did bring eventually like the military, the Thai military, to monitor so people wouldn't like break the rules of just the rules that they had done. And I don't know how every province handled it, like how militarized they were or if they were. But they didn't want the tourists that were left on the island to leave. And like, I don't know. It's not like we were like held captive. It wasn't like that. But just, it was this very strict lockdown to where once they had announced the lockdown measures, you cannot move to another town. You have to stay put
Yeah.
until they change the rules. We weren't held captive or anything. I was in a really nice beach bungalow on the beach.
Oh, that's
So I had
nice.
that going for me.
Yeah, the Bustling Planet, the other Instagrammer I was talking about, he was in like a beach bungalow. He was allowed to move accommodation after a certain point, because I don't think he was originally like as close to the beach, and then he moved closest to the beach. But he was there, I think, for sure he said about like 3 months. He wasn't allowed to
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah, he probably was there until they announced that we could like do more things. Then he was like, "All right, I'm out of here."
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a really hard time because also every like place was different, but I was on a much smaller, more remote island. It was called Copenhagen. So it's all the way in the south. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. This was like what helped get me through, because I was like, okay, I'm on a beach bungalow. I'm looking at the ocean, and like I could swim with the fish, and so that I am so thankful for that. But this lockdown went on for quite a long time, and some of the ATM machines, they didn't have notes anymore. So like even if you could get money out of your bank because you had money, there were people I had talked to on the beach who said they can't get out money because ATMs are all completely out of notes and no one's coming to add more, and everything was like shut. I wasn't in a bad situation like that, but there were people around me that definitely were, and they were tourists that had money and everything. But what happened is the Thai people and all the locals, we ended up being like a really big community and helping each other out. So that was like, it's indescribable. It was pretty indescribable. Yeah. I feel like I could write a book about this though, because that's just like giving you like a really short, like tiny bit about it. But so many things happened while I was on this lockdown in Thailand on a smaller remote island.
Oh, at least like you were somewhere nice though.
Yeah, it was so beautiful. So that was really good for like, my well-being, sunshine.
Yeah, I think what's making this lockdown in the UK really hard is that so obviously like it's winter in the UK, and like really winter, like, but it's not like it's just snowing. It's like it's cold. It's not like absolutely freezing. It snowed like a couple of times, like lightly, but it hasn't stopped. But it's just like, that really crap weather that you get where it's just not very nice to go out in, and it's just cold and wet and miserable, and there's been flooding, and so there's been a bit of a hoo-ah in the area around me, because basically the rules from the government about this lockdown are really like wishy-washy in a way, and basically the police have been kind of like allowed to interpret it as they see fit, and I've gone stupid with it, with this extra power they've been given. So I'll give you an example. So it was in the news the other day. So near my house, like quite near, like, well, less than 10 miles from my house, there's a reservoir that you can walk around, and it's nice and nature and scenic, and good for like exercise and your mental well-being. Well, these two girls, because you're allowed to meet with one other person from another household as long as it's outdoors, but it can't be in your garden, it's got to be in like a public space, and you've got to stay 2 meters apart, but you're allowed to meet them for like exercise. And these two girls had driven in separate cars. They'd driven 5 miles to this reservoir because where they live, it's quite busy, and they didn't want to be bumping into people on the street whilst they're, doing their exercise, because that's defeating the object. So they went to this reservoir to walk around, and the police fined them for travelling out of their local area. Now, if 5 miles is counted as out of your local area, then I think they need to redefine the term. And not only that, are you ready for the piece de resistance? The cherry on top of the crap pie. they had got a coffee each that they brought with them, and the police told them it counted as a picnic, so fined them for having a picnic outdoors. And I'm like, it's a coffee to drink whilst walking around.
Oh,
And
jeez.
and the police have basically been told that they cocked up with this, and they put on social media, because they've got a Facebook page. Basically, it wasn't even a proper apology, but they had to admit that they cocked up, that they shouldn't have fined these girls, and they've got to remove the fine, and they've got to now go back through all the other people that they've fined lately to work out whether or not they were actually in the wrong, and they'll probably find that no, they weren't. So they've been given this extra, like, tiny bit of power, and the police have just gone mad with it. It's just ridiculous. Like, can you even imagine being fined for having a cup of coffee and calling it a picnic? A picnic! And then on top of that, ages ago when we were like in, oh, we've lost Liz. Oh, let's try and get her back. Oh, which country? So we're talking about in the UK at the moment, because we're under full lockdown with a stay-at-home order in the UK, and it's really miserable, because this is like, I think this is the third lockdown that we've had, and before this, we were in like this tiered system, and the tiers weren't fair, and like places like London were put into tier 2, which meant that all the bars and restaurants and stuff could open, and they could, like, you know, have a good time and enjoy themselves. And yet my area that wasn't even doing that bad was put into tier 3, so there was no bars or restaurants open. Like, we couldn't do anything, couldn't go anywhere, couldn't leave our area. So it's all been a bit rubbish in the UK this year, and some areas have had it like particularly bad, where they've basically been in lockdown most of like the last 9 months, which is, you know, rubbish. And you see in some places, like places, everything's open and everything, and I know that might not be the most maybe sensible idea in some of these places, because of the number of cases and deaths that they've got, but at the same time, it's like 9 months where we effectively haven't had any freedom. We haven't been able to, you know, go and see any bands. Haven't really been able to go to a restaurant or a bar. We haven't been able to see our friends and do anything. It's just, yeah, it is severe. I mean, even like over Christmas, so the government had said originally that we were going to have 5 days over Christmas where you could see up to 2 other like bubbles or like households, and up to a maximum of 8 people between those bubbles. And we're all like looking forward to seeing family and friends. And then 3 days before Christmas, dear old Boris, our Prime Minister, turns around and goes, actually, folks, changed our minds, things are bad. You can only see family on Christmas Day. So that was pretty rubbish, really. Like, I can kind of understand why they've done it, but part of the reason why our cases are so high is because they sent all the kids back into schools, where they've been basically infecting one another with the virus, and then they come home and infect mummy and daddy with the virus, who then infect, you know, other people. And really, if they hadn't sent the kids back into the schools, then we probably wouldn't have been in as bad a situation as what we are now in the UK. Maybe we wouldn't have, I don't know, maybe not even needed the lockdown. I don't know. But our Prime Minister seems to think that he knows better than the actual experts that are consulting him all the time, and just seems to do whatever. Ah, this is back, we're just adding her back in. So, yeah, lockdown, not fun. Hello.
Hello, I apologize. I don't know. It was technical difficulty, I imagine.
Ah, that's fine. I was meant to do another live before Christmas, a Christmas live, and we still haven't managed to do it because technical difficulties on, we're not even sure whose end. Literally couldn't get it to work.
Yeah, it does happen sometimes. I've been noticing though that like the different features of Instagram hasn't always been working for me consistently.
Yeah.
And it's quite annoying, really.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, most things like work for me. The only thing that's been a bit funny sometimes is the lives, and obviously the algorithm change did not help anybody.
Mm-mm.
If you're listening, Instagram, sort this crap out, will you?
Yeah, sort it out. They've got
It's
to
not
sort it out. If they don't, people aren't gonna like it.
No, and I think Instagram, because of it, is losing its popularity. Which I suppose if you keep annoying the people that are using it, they're not going to use it.
No. Mm-mm.
But Mark Zuckerberg knows better, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
So, have you got any more like horrible things that have happened to you whilst traveling?
No, I think actually I've shared most of my stories. Like I have different stories where it's just like in a different location about like getting lost, but it's pretty much the same story, just a different city or, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How about you?
I think I've basically said anything. Oh yeah, apart from in Egypt, I said I had my Egypt one. I was nearly sold in Egypt. And to be fair, the offer was very good. I nearly said yes. So the hotel had a dive school attached to it, and we weren't diving with them. We were diving with like another company. And the dive school tried to buy me off my dad for, it was a great offer actually. 7 camels, 6 dogs, 3 chickens, and a goat, and I would be given accommodation and a job and fed. And to be fair, I was like, I was semi-seriously saying yes. But really weirdly, so in Egypt, if you have a motorbike, you're considered as being gay.
A motorbike?
Yeah, because they were saying to like my dad, when they were talking about where I would live, they were like, "Oh, she can stay with him. It's okay. He's gay because he has a motorbike." I'm like, I didn't know that was like two associated things.
Yeah,
I don't know anyone that's gay who's got a motorbike, and I know quite a few gay people.
Well, I wonder what they think of places like Vietnam. They're like, oh my goodness.
Homosexuality everywhere. just gay everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. Oh dear. That's
I
interesting.
just found it very, very weird.
Yeah, that's an interesting fact of Egypt. Huh.
Yeah.
The more you know, I guess.
We did get hassled a lot, but I did like Egypt.
Yeah, I still like it, but you definitely have to, yeah. You'll have to deal with people trying to sell you stuff all the time.
Oh yeah. Oh, it doesn't let up, and it's like it's not even just Egypt. Like Turkey is very much the same.
Yeah.
And Mexico as well. We found in Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I've been to Mexico too. It was like that.
So I've got one very short story about Mexico, which you think is going to be a horror story and then has a bit of a twist. So basically, we were in Cancun. I think we'd been out for the day. That might have been the day we went to Chichen Itza, and we were walking back to our accommodation that was an Airbnb. We weren't in the hotel zone, like on the strip. We were like in like main Cancun, and this guy and his son start like following us and shouting after us, shouting like hi and please wait. And we thought, because we've been hassled already quite a few times for money, I was like, no, we're not stopping. He's got the kid as bait, you know, the kid's probably going to be the one that's going to try and pickpocket us because smaller hands and whatever. And we were like, no, not falling for this. So we were like, I've got the power walk going and the guy's following, and I'm like starting to get a bit panicked and everything. And do you know what it was? The kid learning English in school, his homework was to have a conversation with an English speaking person and to record it as evidence. And he had set questions that he had to ask me for English practice. So I was like, once he told me that, I was like, oh no, it's fine. I'm really sorry that we like tried to run away from you, but we've been hassled like so much already here. We just thought that you were another person that was gonna like be coming to like, yeah. And I felt so bad because I was like, I've been a massive dick, and it was completely undeserved. Like me and my husband both were like, we're so sorry. Like, please don't think that all British people are like really rude. It's just like having someone approach you in the street, like following you, is like, if that happens in Britain, it's not normally a good thing.
No. Yeah.
It's not normally for like a good intention. So we're like, I'm very sorry. I will happily help you with your homework. Ask me anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, anytime anyone follows you in the US, danger written all over it.
Oh God, you just reminded me. I have got one more story.
Oh no. I have a feeling this one's really not good.
So, you know how like obviously in the US it's legal to carry a firearm?
Yeah.
I think it depends on the state, doesn't it, as well, whether it has to be like concealed or whatever, what the rules are. I don't really like get it. But so we were round about Times Square, like the only time that we went there apart from to visit the Mac shop at a later date. But basically there was this nutter on the street like shouting out about how I can't even remember exactly what he was said, but it was like he was basically on some kind of like weird religious rant, and about how that everybody's going to go to hell and how he hates everyone and basically wants to like commit violence. And we're like, oh hell no. So we like, and this guy's behind us and we're like, right, we need to get out of here because this guy, like you could tell the guy wasn't quite, you know, wired right. And we're like, Walgreens, we'll go into the we'll be safe in Walgreens. No, bastard follows us in, doesn't he? And we're just like, and we're there like trying to like duck around the aisles. I don't think he was specifically like following us necessarily, but he was another one that kept like reaching into his jacket, and I was just like, I swear to God, I do not want to be in the newspapers like Brit gunned down in Walgreens on like around New Year's, because that's just like really like a disappointing way to go.
Yeah.
But he was just like, so weird. Like I think he must have been on drugs. He really like, he was just spouting such like weird stuff.
Yeah,
but we managed
I
to
imagine he
lose
probably
him.
was on drugs. That's my guess.
Yeah.
That's what I would guess he was.
But then there was the nutter on the train on New Year's Eve. So we were doing we booked a like a evening like cruise thing to see the fireworks for New Year's Eve. That we booked this thing because it was called Rock the Yacht, and it was meant to be like rock music, and wasn't, it turns out. There was no like rock music. It was 5 hours of hip hop and R&B with a really drunk DJ that had a thing for Australian girls, kept inviting them up on stage and trying to grope them. Yeah, it was really weird. And the all-inclusive drinks, turned out you had to queue up for each one and you could only get one drink at a time, and there wasn't enough seating for everyone, and it was really cold, and it was just crap. But before we'd even made it there, we had to take the subway down to where the docks are. And there was the nutter on the subway in our train car, because of course. and I don't know, he was at least drunk. He was possibly on something as well. And he was with his, I'm guessing, like, wife, or at least like partner. And he was like shouting and on about like how he was going to hurt her. And at one point he genuinely like grabbed her by the throat, and I was just like, this is not acceptable. But I was like, if he's that much of a nut job to be doing that kind of thing in real life, he's probably the type of guy that would, like, you know, be carrying a gun.
Yep.
So I was like, I really want to, and she was like trying to calm him down and everything. I get the impression from her behaviour that this isn't like a one-off. This is like a regular occurrence, and she's used to having to try and like deal with his behaviour. And I was like, it's not acceptable. But I was like, I didn't feel like I could say anything, because if he has got a weapon, he's probably then not just going to use it against me. He's going to then shoot, you know, my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. He's probably then going to shoot her. Like, there's other people on this train car. And he was obviously like not right in the head. And I was just like, why is she tolerating this from him? Like, leave him! Leave!
Yeah, run. I know.
Run at a million miles.
Honestly, though, that kind of story, though, unfortunately, I have lots of stories about this of living in the US, but it's just, yeah, that's just horrid.
Yeah, that's one of the only things that I don't get about the US is the whole like law and stuff with guns.
I know. But that's a very big political issue for Americans. Yeah. But I know how I feel about it, and mine is I don't like it.
No, like, especially like me living in a country where that is not acceptable. Like it's scary, especially like when you come into somewhere like New York, and there was rumors that there was somebody going to attempt a terrorist attack whilst we were there as well, apparently. So we were a bit like on the lookout kind of thing. And I was glad, like, in a way, I was glad that we didn't go to Times Square, because that was the year that Mariah Carey got caught out doing the lip syncing, and it was really bad. But also, like, if they're going to attempt a terrorist attack, it's going to be at Times Square on New Year's Eve, because it's where it's going to do the most damage. But I know that the buildings have like snipers on top of them in case of things like that, so you'd probably be like safer. But I don't know, like, the whole thing was just a bit like, yeah, I don't really want to risk this.
I know. If anything, me growing up here, I learned I always have to be on my guard, and then when I go to other places in the world, I can relax a bit.
That is weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird way of looking at it.
Yeah, weird way of looking at it, for sure, yeah.
It's just so weird, like how Britain and the US are so similar in so many ways, but then there's things like like laws with like guns and stuff that are so different.
Oh yeah, I know. Because I've made quite a bit of British friends when I was living in Thailand, because they come and teach and everything. And I also worked at an international British school in Thailand, so I got to meet lots of British people and all of that. But yeah, we started talking about the differences, and I was just like, what?
Yeah.
It's like everything. Like, we have a similar culture, kind of, but also not. I mean, because we say things differently. We have different laws, different system, different foods.
There's some stuff that is just so weird. Like, we found in New York that they like to try and copy London with a lot of stuff, but it just comes across as a bit strange. It's like London, but not. And it's like, you know, New York as a whole is quite a new place in the scale of things, because like it's all like man-made. It's like it felt to us like they're trying to make it look like they've got all this history, and it's like, no, girl, no, you don't.
Oh yeah.
You don't have history. No.
I know that's something we don't really have going for us in the US because our country is so new.
Yeah, but
We just don't have it.
But I'll never forget when I first went to Florida. I went in 2001, and we went into a Walmart. We were staying in, like, we'd rented somebody's like house to live in, and we went to the Walmart to do like a food shop. And I'll never forget like going into the Walmart, and there was like other shops in the Walmart. It was one of those massive ones, and the
Yeah.
first thing as soon as you went in was a gun shop, and I was like, why would you go gun shopping when you're going to buy milk and bread? Like, I can't even. Oh, see you later, honey. I'm out to do the shop. Yeah, I'll get that milk, that cereal, that bread, and that rifle you're after. What the fuck? Why?
Okay, so I'll tell you about a story of one time when I was also in a Walmart. Because, okay, well, for one, you see lots of weird characters of people in Walmart.
I follow a Facebook group that's got some pictures like this.
Yes, me too. Not anymore, but yeah, definitely have seen my fair share of the pictures that people have taken of people at Walmart, and I've experienced it, seeing them in real life. So
in the wild.
But okay, so this is not a good story at all, but we are talking about travel horror stories. So
yeah,
my family, we had gone to a Walmart, and my brother, he was really young at the time. And this just goes to show that this is like a problem, because you can buy a gun in a Walmart, right? And so my brother, he was maybe, I'd say 5 years old or something. And we went up to a part where it was guns, and we didn't actually know that they were real. And my brother, he didn't know that it was a real gun. And when we looked at the gun, one of the guns was loaded, and my brother, nothing happened that it could have happened, but he tried to pick it up, and he was only a small kid, and it turns out the gun was loaded, but nothing happened because, I don't know, just luck, complete luck. But seriously, guns that they were selling, because this was like I don't know, maybe 15 years ago. But I remember this. But this was a while ago now. So they didn't used to like lock them up or anything. They would just kind of be out. Probably because of lots of stuff that happened in the store. But yeah, my small little brother, he was holding one of them. He was picking it up because he wanted to look at it. And we were like, no. And it could have just been bad just like that.
I mean, I don't understand how they kept one loaded.
I'd have no idea. And this is something that bothers me quite a lot about.
Yeah.
It bothers me a lot. But also, I can see that nothing is going to be done about it.
Yeah.
Either. So, yeah.
No, people are too like set in their ways.
Very. And it also is in like our laws of, like, when we first created our country, it was the second law that we made.
Yeah, the right to bear arms, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the second law that we made as a country. So
that's
a lot
probably
of people
where things went wrong.
Yeah, I know.
Making that law.
And even me talking about this, a lot of people that I know, they wouldn't even agree with what I'm saying about that. I don't agree with having them, because it's like the culture here, and people want to have them. Because also it creates this cycle, right? Like, you know, they're dangerous, but then other people buy them because other people are dangerous with them, and they want to have that security of having it.
And it just perpetuates it even further.
Yes, it does. But yeah, most people that I know, they don't feel this way. It's just me pretty much, and some other friends I have who have traveled, actually. It seems like those are the only...
I know a few Americans who are quite pro firearms, and I can't even like get my head around it, because it's something that's, you know, so like alien to me, like being in the UK.
I know.
It's quite scary. Like when you think about the shooting that happened in Christchurch as well, like that was, so my great uncle who lives in New Zealand, he was on his way into the city and he got stopped by the police because the shooting had just happened. And the guy that did the shooting, this is why I think the gun laws need to be like much stricter. The guy was an Australian dude, and my great uncle actually drove us past the gun shop where he got it from. And apparently he'd gone in and he'd done all the license and stuff, and he'd checked out. They said, yeah, you're fine to have a gun. And obviously he was not fine to have a gun. But I think that that's where there needs to be like stricter legislation to decide who can have one.
I know.
So that it can come to Britain, safer here.
I know. This is something that, yeah, I think about a lot, because some of the states, we have different rules and laws and everything, because they all kind of run independently in a way, all the states.
Yeah, you've got like the federal system and like the state system, haven't you?
Yeah, right. So every state has different rules, but yeah, some you don't need any, like you can just buy it anywhere. And you don't have to like, you don't have to show anything. You just have to, like, you just can.
That is just ridiculous.
It depends upon the state. Some they do require, some don't. So it's just like, oh dear.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, that's definitely not a great thing.
No.
And the people, quite often, the people that buy them are the people that really shouldn't.
Indeed.
It's like the argument of like, even if you've got a weapon, like carrying it, because if you're carrying it, you're more likely to use one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know there's been a problem with this was a couple of years back. There was an issue with being sold, so they looked like hair combs, but they actually had concealed like stiletto knives in them.
Oh.
And there was a few instances I remember in the UK of like girls going into nightclubs, getting into fights, and then knife comes out, and of course they'll have had the bags checked on the way in, but it looks like a hair comb.
Oh.
And places like Wish were selling these.
Oh.
Yeah,
wow.
he's not good.
No, that's not.
He's not good.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think places like, what did I get recommended the other day off Wish? Oh God, it was something involving a weapon, and I was just like, this should not even be on here. I think what it was like lipstick. It looked like lipstick, but it was actually a weapon, and I was just like, why?
Yeah.
The roads are violent enough place without extras.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we talk about something happier?
Yeah, we should. Yeah, we started talking about our own country, so that's interesting.
I do live near a city that was considered the knife crime capital of the UK. It's called Nottingham, but we call it jokingly Shottingham because there's lots of violence, and there's some streets where if you like order like Domino's pizza, the delivery guys won't actually come and deliver to your door. You have to walk to another street to get it. because there was an instance where I think it was Domino's. The guy was he delivered a pizza to the address. The guy opened the door and shot him. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
That's
dear.
25 miles away.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I could
It's one
talk
of those
about a lot
things
of
where I
bad
really
stories
like the
like this.
city.
Yeah, I could talk about a lot of bad stories in the US, but it's really sad to talk about, to be honest, because it's
Yeah,
sad. It's sad, yeah.
it's not
Oh
the
dear.
nicest thing. And
But
it's
I
like,
know a lot of like people know this, and like if you're traveling to the US, you should know and you should do your research about cities that you're visiting in the US, because every major city in the US, it has its dodgy spots, so it's really sketchy areas, and then it's got parts that are safe, you know. So just do your research, because that is just how it is in the US. Every single city that you will go to,
same in
that
the
is the
UK.
reality. So if you know it, you can do the research
Yeah.
about it and make sure that you're prepared, because you don't want to end up being in the wrong part of the city, because it is
No.
not
I mean,
good.
it's the same in the UK in that, so our local city, which is where I was born, I moved back there. I've never moved like that far away from where I grew up and everything. And there's an area of the city where if you are white, you are not welcome.
Okay.
And I have been spat at. I have been followed on the pavement. I have had my car followed. And it's like, I was born here, for Christ's sake. I live like not like a couple of miles away. Why?
Mm-hmm.
And it's notorious for at night for having prostitutes as well. It's just not a nice area. And I've heard there's some areas of Birmingham, which is like our biggest of like the local cities, where if you're certain nationalities, you do not want to go there.
Right.
It's rough, which is like really sad that you can't like feel comfortable like where you live.
Mm-hmm.
But the UK is just not that friendly a place anymore. But so Miami was a place where we were on our honeymoon, and we had done our Caribbean cruise, and then we were going to Miami, and we ended up being driven through some like different neighborhoods.
Yes.
And basically, we'd taken an Uber from the port, and the guy was like, the Uber driver was really nice and everything. And eventually, we made it to the accommodation. I thought, oh, it's taken a while to get here, but I didn't think anything of it. Then when we were going back to the airport to fly home, the journey took like half the time. Went back onto the Uber app. Turns out that the first driver had driven an extra 20 miles to charge us more.
Ooh.
And I mean, it was 20 miles. So, you know how like Miami's on a grid system? He'd like, instead of going, he'd gone,
Yeah.
But I reported it to Uber, and within 3 minutes, they had refunded me the money, the difference back.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad.
So I was quite impressed with that. And I felt like Uber in America, I've always felt like quite safe with Uber and with Lyft as well.
Yeah,
I
I'm
felt
glad.
more
Yeah.
safe in America with Uber than in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do have a good Uber system. I'll agree with that. I've never had any bad stories. Except for, I mean, yeah, he tried overcharging you, but that's great that you got a refund immediately. That says a lot about Uber then. That's good.
Yeah, I was quite pleasantly surprised. Like so you know how like Uber tells you like the predicted route and how much it should cost. Well, they could see straight away that this guy had gone like miles out of the way, and they were like, "Yeah, no, we can't argue this. Have your money back."
Yeah.
So I was like, fair dues.
Yeah.
Happy with that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've been to Miami as well. I really liked it.
I really like the mix between how every area's got like its different character.
Yeah. Yep.
Like Little Havana, I really enjoyed, and South
Oh
Beach.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy time.
Travel.
Oh, what I would give to be in Miami right now. Well,
Oh
not during the pandemic. It's probably not as fun, but
no, everything's closed there because actually one of my friends from university, she lives in Miami.
ah,
Yeah,
so
nice place to live.
mm.
But yeah, everything's really closed. It's all closed. So we'll just have to wait a few months for things to open.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a while for stuff in the UK to get back to kind of normal because even like flights booked at Easter that I know some people have been cancelled.
Ooh, yeah.
So it's going to be a long year again.
Same here. I know things aren't looking too progressive in the right way so far for us over here.
But on the plus side, they've decided now that Biden is going to be the president.
Woo!
I was cheering for you as well.
Thank you.
It's just a shame it's taken so long.
I know.
The impeachment process did not work.
No. Right.
Oh, not too much longer to wait now for you guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm so jealous. We've got Boris for years yet.
I know.
Every time we do the speech, I call it Boris's bollocks bonanza. What utter Trump is he going to come out with this time? Just like, and every time he makes like a TV appearance, he looks even more of a state. Like he just looks like he rolled out of the wrong side of the bed and just thrown whatever was on the floor, which is probably what he did, to be fair. But it's like this man is meant to be representing Britain, and he's just an absolute state.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, are these two related? You know what I mean? Like Trump and Boris.
Well, we do joke because they do. I mean, Trump's more orange.
Yeah.
He is a lot more orange, but I think Boris can talk in longer sentences, but they make little to no sense.
Yeah.
So
they could be related in some way or form.
Can we just like ship them off together to like, I would say an exotic island, but they don't deserve that.
Nope, they don't. They don't
North
deserve
Korea. He's besties with Kim Jong-un. Send them there.
that.
Enjoy, fellas.
Yeah, enjoy. See you never.
Oh, definitely. I just love how every time that Melania is seen on TV, body language experts are trying to work out whether she's being held captive or not.
Oh, I know. Oy.
She's just there like going, think of the money, think of the money, think of the money.
Yeah, probably.
Probably, yeah. Though I find that she always looks, it's probably Botox, but she always looks very surprised. Like somebody's told a joke and she's thinking it over, but she hasn't quite got it yet. Like she's always kind of like, I know it's meant to be funny, but I don't quite understand it. She always looks like kind of dazed.
Yeah, it's probably just the Botox, really.
Probably a lot.
It makes your face so uplifted.
It just doesn't move.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, it's so weird.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah.
Oh. It's like every time like your country does something stupid, like Britain's like, hold my beer and can top this, and then you guys are like, no, seriously, we can do better. It's like we're in constant competition there's no winners.
No, we just keep going at it.
No.
I know, I agree.
I'm just wondering what's the next lot of stupidity from the UK is going to be. I think arresting those two, well, not arresting, but giving those two girls a fine for having a cup of coffee and calling it a picnic has got to be up there with the stupidity.
Yeah.
The same way that they said a Scotch egg was a substantial meal.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
You can't make it up.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Oh dear. We are entertaining, aren't we?
So are we.
Yeah.
Oh.
This
I
life
think the
went
only
pretty well,
country
didn't it?
that is ballsing it up more is Brazil, that and China. I think they're the only ones that are doing like a worse job. But on the plus side, we have started to get vaccines now.
Yeah.
My
Both
granddad
of our
had
countries,
his
UK and the
jab.
US.
Yes.
Yeah. In the UK, are people getting their vaccines and it's like fine and everything? There's no political issue about it, or?
Not so much as what I believe is going on in the US. There are some muppets out there who are saying that it's all a conspiracy and this, that, and the other, and people saying like, oh, I don't trust it because it's been made too fast, but like they don't understand the process that goes into making a vaccine and the things that would normally hold it up, and the fact that they've been working on this for years because it's been developed from SARS treatment from 17 years ago and things like that. And I think people are more willing to have it in the UK because they understand that if you can have it, if they can get people to have it, then things can go back to normal faster.
Okay, that is good. That's pretty level-headed.
Not everyone.
Right, but more level-headed than what's happening over in the US. So bravo, UK.
I do keep sending out on Facebook, I do keep posting a lot of like pro-vaccination stuff, just like with facts, like just to educate people, because I still keep seeing a lot of absolute rubbish where people are like spreading fake news and misinformation around, and it's just fear mongering, and it's not even stuff that's true. So just trying to educate as someone in healthcare.
Uh-huh. That's good. You should. But yeah, it seems like any time I open my mouth in the US, everything I say somehow here it's a political issue, because I've been gone for a long time, so I don't really know what people like the actual people think themselves. And then when I got here, I was just like, oh my God, I can't say anything because apparently everything is a political issue. Wearing a face mask, now like you're a liberal. Oh, if you want to get a vaccination, you're a complete liberal. Like it's just, yeah.
I feel like the media in America is quite a lot to blame for some of this stuff, because they like post about it all the time and like perpetuate it. Whilst I feel like, I don't know whether it's in the UK because we have a smaller population, so in theory there can be less stupidity because there's less people. But I think people are a bit more maybe trusting of the healthcare system, because like our healthcare system is completely different to you guys. Like we've got the National Health Service, which is free, and then you guys have got ridiculously overpriced insurance.
I think that's actually that's a good point, what you just said there. That's a good point.
So I feel, because I watch a lot of like American medical shows, things like House and Scrubs and New Amsterdam and stuff like that. And I get the feeling that when it comes to healthcare in America, that I mean, our doctors are pretty bad, like with oversubscribing some stuff as well. But I feel that like some doctors in America more so, will prescribe stuff just to get the, you know, like the extra money from it, as opposed to thinking about whether the patients actually necessarily need it.
Oh dear, spill the tea, madame.
Well, it drops it all, yeah.
Yeah, you've
Like,
got it
seriously,
spot on. You've got it spot on.
because well, I've been looking into it because I like the idea of living in Florida because it's warm and there's Disney, and but I don't like the idea of working in the US healthcare system because I don't really agree with the way it's run.
Yeah, you can say
It
that.
should be
Yeah.
to help people, not to make a profit off them at their expense. So I said to my husband that if I did ever work in America as a physio, like I would probably like work in a hospital, but then I'd also probably do like a drop-in session that I'd organise outside of that, where it'd be like if you were on like a low income or benefits or something like that, then you could have like really stupidly cheap physio, like $10 for half an hour, like a 20-minute session, so that people that need it can still get it. Because physio is one of those things where, because doctors don't really understand it very well necessarily, they don't promote it, and patients don't understand what it is. They just see us as like expensive massage therapists, and it's like, that is not all we do. So we do so much more, and massage barely even enters into it. More so in private practice, because the patients like to feel like if you're getting hands-on, you're doing something for them. But we're more kind of like exercise promoting these days and less hands-on. And physio can make a massive difference. I know, because I was in a really bad car accident and they thought I'd broken my neck and I had to have physio, and then I hadn't properly recovered and I moved to a new job and they lied to me about heavy lifting, and it turns out there was loads of heavy lifting, and I basically knackered my back up for a while and had to have more physio. So I've got a really good like understanding of it from like the patient's point of view as well. And if I hadn't have had physio, I probably wouldn't be able to walk properly now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. A lot of people, they just want like a quick fix. That's how Americans like have it ingrained. And even me, I sometimes catch myself, because it's kind of our culture, because we've got it with everything, you know, like I actually haven't been to England yet, so I don't know exactly what it's like there, but in the US there's so many drive-throughs, like to-go things. You always get your coffee to go. Like we're fast-paced. We want everything just like quick fix, quick everything.
I was amazed. In America, I saw a drive-through ATM. I was like, what the?
Yeah, exactly.
We do not have that in the UK.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I know. And like me coming back, because I mean, I've been gone for nearly 2 years. And coming back, it's really a culture shock for me, because I'm like, what the heck? Like, we're like in such a rush. We just like drive everywhere. Like, we can get everything to go. Drinking coffee, and I don't know, just like all these like processed foods to go, like getting a $1 hamburger at McDonald's. I'm just like, I'm not.
Oh God, yeah.
Like, coming back, it's just a lot. Like, obviously I grew up with this, but coming back, I'm just like, oh wow.
Yeah, Britain is becoming a lot more like that, and I don't consider it a good thing.
Yeah, well, this is the stuff that I've realized now after coming back, like experiencing something else, lots of different cultures, and then coming back, I'm like, no, I don't like this. I might have grown up with it. I was like, oh yeah, you know, but now I've come back. I'm like, no, I appreciate like just slowing down a bit more, and not as much all of this stuff. Yeah, it's extremely convenient, but you just can't have everything be so fast paced to where you're not enjoying, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just too
And
fast
I mean,
paced. It's
I
become
used to
too
work
much.
at McDonald's, and it's not a good place to work. And
Say again?
because I used to work at a McDonald's, and it's
Oh
not a
yeah.
good place to work, and a lot of that is not just down to the management, it's down to the customers, because they expect everything now. It needs to be done now, 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 now. It's like, that is not humanly possible, dude.
I know. This is what a lot of people learn when they work in the food service. That
Yeah.
that doesn't just go for McDonald's, but McDonald's is definitely one of the worst ones. Because people, they really want it fast, but we aren't patient. And like, I've come back and I'm like,
No,
we don't know patience at all.
no.
We
I mean, I think
we
we've
don't
had
even
to learn it
understand the
during the
concept.
pandemic.
Say again.
We've had to learn it during the pandemic.
Oh, I don't think anyone's learned it here though.
I think in the UK we have a bit, but that's because we've had so much less freedom than what America has. We've had no
Yeah,
choice.
yeah, exactly. Well, that's the thing. That no one likes being told what to do because I've experienced this, that the state that I'm in, like, face masks are required. They are required, but no one wears them.
We used to be like that, but now people are wearing them.
Mm-hmm. But nothing even happens if you aren't wearing them. No one's going to say anything. Like, there are no police around. Even the other pedestrians, they aren't going to say anything. Because I've wanted to say something, but I'm like, I'm going to cause such a big scene. Like,
Yeah.
if I tell someone, like, wear a face mask, and all the time I get called out for wearing a face mask. They're like, you don't have to do that. I'm like, actually, it's required. They're like, huh, well, I don't care about that. And I'm like, okay. Like, it's just, yeah, it's, I don't know how to
I don't
explain
know
that, but
why people just struggle to follow the rules so much. Like, this isn't like aiming at one country, but I don't know why
yeah, not just one
people
country.
are making it so sodding difficult, because they just don't seem to understand that the longer they try and resist this and do what they want, the longer it's going to carry on, because they're the people getting us into these crap situations.
Exactly.
Behave yourself, people. I'm getting
I know.
fed up with lockdown.
I'm fed up too. Mostly with just the people.
Oh,
Yeah.
hate people. Work in healthcare, hate people. Not all the time. Just people that are being idiots.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
One day we're going to look back on these years, and we're going to laugh, I think.
Yes.
And we'll be there explaining to our kids or our grandkids, like, and they're like, oh, the 20s are coming back into fashion, you know, like with fashion. And we're like, no, they're not. No, no. We do not speak of this time.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like the whole joke in is it the TV show called Hello Hello or something? They go, don't mention the war. It's going to be like that, but it's going to be like, don't mention the pandemic.
Exactly. It will, and this will be like everywhere in the world. Don't mention, don't.
No, we don't say the C word.
No.
We don't mention lockdown. The L word is out. The Q word, quarantine, that's definitely out. We don't say any of that.
Don't speak of
Banned
it.
word.
Oh my gosh. We will make it through. We will.
Yes. One day you'll have to come to the UK and I will show you around.
Oh yes,
I
would love
the
to
things
come.
aren't like our crappy drive-throughs and stuff.
Yeah.
I'll show you
There's
the
so
good
many
places.
drive-thrus here. Oh my lord.
We've just had a new one open. We've just got a Starbucks for the first time. We've got though, we have a chain of coffee shops called Costa Coffee, and we have in my town, I think we've got 5 or 6 of them, which is just ridiculous. Like it's a medium-sized town. It's a town.
Yeah.
Nobody needs that much, and it's overpriced as well. It's really expensive. I just don't understand.
Right.
I
Well, I'm in a small town in the US in Illinois, so it's like it's really, really small. Very small.
Yeah.
And in my town, we have more drive-throughs than restaurants. Which is shocking.
Insert surprise Pikachu face.
Yes.
I can't.
Which is shocking. I didn't remember that it was like this.
That is ridiculous.
It's like I just want to like sit down and have like, but yeah, I mean, I just forgot that it was like this because I'm in like a more rural area, so it's not like by a city, so I know the cities are different. They have lots of drive-throughs, but in my town, it's more drive-throughs than restaurants. And like I can't go and sit at a cafe and have tea and like coffee because they've turned into drive-throughs.
Oh no.
Yeah.
At least you've got that option. Like we haven't had restaurants open here in so many months. I think since like maybe August.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had anything. Oh no, hang on, no. Things did open back up for a bit. They shut in November, start of November, and we've had nothing open since. And so we can't, like, all we've got is like takeaway places, and a lot of them haven't reopened. So we've not really got much option for anything. It's a bit.
Yep. Well, I know that the different cities, because yeah, when I was in New York, everything was closed. It actually was really sad because you just looked around and you're like, oh wow, because everything is closed because of the pandemic. So, yeah, it's disappointing. But also in some of the places, they've got more drive-throughs than restaurants, and so there hasn't been any effect with that because a drive-through you don't sit there or gather with people. You're just in your car, you grab your food and you go. So
yeah, they've definitely, I mean, drive-throughs are always like, because we haven't got loads and loads of them, but so they've always been quite like popular, especially with like people late at night. But they've definitely like increased in popularity because there is nowhere else to go, nothing to do.
I know. This is what I worry a bit though about with the US because we already were using them too much, and now like it's all we've got too. So, oh, I don't think that's a good direction.
Times are so rubbish. Like I miss being able to have like, because we're quite limited on what food options we've got. We've basically got loads of kebab shops that also do pizza, and then a few Indian restaurants and a couple of Chinese's, and that's kind of like it. Like you can't even get a good burger from anywhere because there's nowhere that does them that's open. So it's all our takeaway options are all like cheap and nasty, most of them.
I know.
I'm just really fed up with it all. I just want some form of like normalcy or whatever, and I just find it really unfair that like London was allowed to have all the bars and restaurants reopen, and they had loads of COVID cases, and yet my area wasn't.
Oh, that is annoying.
Yeah, and it's like, it's London, of course it's going to spread in London. Look at the population difference.
Yeah, of course.
And yet they were like, no, it's fine in London. It's like, but you can't even open up a flaming pub. Like, I am desperate for a pint. And yet, and it's just shocking, like how many businesses have gone under and will probably continue to close down.
I know. Well, it was actually really hard when I was in New York to try and find a place where we could get food, because we were doing
We found
sightseeing.
that.
Oh yeah, we were trying to do some sightseeing. We couldn't go in anywhere, but just walk around in the city.
Yeah.
But it was so hard to find somewhere, and we couldn't sit down anywhere either. You had to take it to go, and it was just like even finding a place that was open though was such a struggle.
Yeah, and it's not the same.
No.
And yeah, and there's the argument, like they opened up like the hair and beauty salons, and you could go there and you could get like a takeaway, but you couldn't see your friends. And it's like, why? It doesn't make sense. I would rather see my friends than have a facial. Like I can do that myself.
I know.
It's just bollocks is what it is. It's bollocks.
It is. Yeah. It is, yeah.
It is.
It is.
But I'm hoping that it's all going to get like sorted out this year, because things can't carry on the way they are. And now that we've got the vaccines in both countries, hopefully if they can start sticking people with more of that, then
I'll just be hoping for the best. And yeah.
I don't even care which of the vaccines I get. I just jab me now.
Yeah. I hope it'll work out.
In fact, it's a shame, like they don't let allied health professionals, which physio falls under, they're not letting us join in with the vaccination program. But I'm sure, like if they asked, we would quite happily join in to get more people vaccinated faster.
Yeah.
I know that there's quite a few people I would like to stick in the arm with a big needle. Very happily. I'd quite happily stab a few people with a needle. I might release some anger.
Yeah.
Vaccinate.
Vaccinate, yeah.
But if only Boris could go first. Oh, I'd punch that needle into him good. I just want to make sure, sir, that you've definitely got it. Definitely vaccinated.
Oh, jeez.
In fact, let's give you 2 to be sure.
Yeah.
Oh. We'll be laughing about this on a beach one day, I promise.
Oh, yeah. We'll be laughing about it. Oh, someone's laughing about it with us now.
Joining the laughter. We'll be there. We'll be like in a hammock, tropical beach, fresh coconut,
laughing about
rum, in a little one of those little parasols and a straw.
Oh,
chilling next to the sea.
Going,
oh, do you remember that time where we were all locked away for like an entire sodding year? And...
Yeah. We'll laugh about it. We'll laugh about it. Oh.
It's just funny though, like the future children are probably not even gonna like believe half the stuff that's happened.
Oh no.
They ain't gonna believe it. They're gonna be like, yeah, no way.
No, they won't believe it.
Oh no. Look, you have the internet for evidence.
Yeah, we have all the evidence. You can see how the different countries were in panic. This chaos happening.
I read something that's really funny but tragic earlier. So somebody made this like kind of meme thing that was doing the rounds, but it hadn't been updated in ages. Now somebody's done it, and it was basically, I think they've taken the shots from a film where there's 2 guys in a car that are talking to each other, and they're basically going on about like it's as if this guy has been like off on another planet, and he's asking about his mate in the car about like all the crappy stuff that's happened over the last 12 months, and this guy is just listing off all this stuff, and they were like, and the friend's like, oh no, it can't possibly get worse. And it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it's finally ended with saying, oh, one good thing though, on SpaceX sent 2 guys off into space. Lucky bastards.
I've got
And I
to
was
see
like,
this.
yes.
Oh jeez, I've
Way
got to
to
see that.
end it. Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
It was just so funny. And when you read it, you think, oh my God, yes, this has literally all happened in only a year. It's just ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
One day this will be funny.
One day.
One day.
One day more.
I was thinking that, but I was
You
like,
were.
I'm not going to sing because I'm going to sound weird. But then you did it, so it's okay. I do love that musical.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh God, I bet they're going to make a musical about this.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing to see, because it's going to be so dramatic and funny, but also so relatable. Oh, they've got to do it. I imagine they will.
Andrew Lloyd Webber, if you're watching, get in on this quick before anyone else does. Like, seriously.
Yeah, those videographers and producers out there, come on, get it going.
Come on. We'll let you
Come
take.
on.
So, as long as we get like a cut of the profits for the idea, you know, we'll let you go and make this stuff. We just want our name in the brochure under the credits.
Yeah.
Some holiday vouchers.
Oh,
yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
Or
Sort that out.
Barbados, yes, down for it. I'd have to go back to Barbados.
Oh. I just want somewhere warm, to be honest, because it's really cold here. It's snow. There's snow everywhere.
Is there snow? No, not at the moment. It's just dark and miserable.
Yeah. It's cold, windy, and snowy here.
Oh. It's a bit grim here. And it's really sad when you see people online that are in like Australia and New Zealand and it's their summer. And you're just like, oh, this is not fair.
Yeah, what a dream.
Hopefully we'll be out by summer.
Sunny here in South Africa.
Oh,
lovely! We are wanting to be there.
Hang on, isn't it always sunny in South Africa though?
Not sure. Sunny 28 degrees, yeah. Is it always sunny in South Africa then? Is there like a rainy season? I don't know.
Britain has a rainy season. It's called the year.
Yeah.
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 Oh, yeah. No snow besides on the mountain. Oh, God, that is not fair.
Yeah.
But it's funny. So Britain, how we're so used to it being like cold and wet and miserable, cannot cope with snow. But then we can't cope when we have a heat wave either, because we don't like have aircon. Sorry, that is not cold. You do not get to say that is cold. That is not cold. That is like British summertime average.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely spring leading to summer. That is no, I'm sorry. You cannot call that cold. No. No.
British weather.
Oh, British weather is a thing. It is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, we do
get in the US, but I'm right in the middle, so I got a bit of all of it.
No, you get a bit of everything. We just get, I mean, we don't get loads of snow where we are because we're not like in the Highlands or anything. But it's not as warm as like down south. Like I remember we visited the other year our friends that live in Dorset, which is on the coast, like right down at the bottom. And honestly, we could have easily been in like France or somewhere it was that warm, or Spain. It was amazing. Yeah, back in the Midlands where I live, not as warm.
Ah.
Where are we
So
based?
when asked where we based.
I'm from the UK. I live in the centre of England in a town called Burton-on-Trent, or upon Trent, depending on which sign you look at. And we make most of the beer for Europe, Pirelli tyres for Formula One, and things like Branston Pickle and Marmite.
Oh,
That's
I've
what we
heard of
do.
Marmite. Nice.
Oh, I love
Love
Marmite.
it.
You either love it or you hate it, and I love the stuff. I eat it from the jar.
Yeah, I haven't tried it, but I've heard of it, so I'll give it a go when the time comes. Well, yeah, we haven't got it in the US, so
Oh, they have it in like New Zealand as well, but their Marmite's really different to ours. It's like completely different consistency. It's so weird.
That's interesting. Huh. Yeah, but I'm from the US and I live in Illinois. So if you know the city Chicago, I'm from that general area, but I live in a rural town. That's where I'm from. We're in the area that I'm from in the US, we're known for our corn.
Ah,
So there's lots of cornfields.
oh, that's
Not what lots
lovely.
of people envision when I say I'm from the US, but it is.
Ah.
Yeah.
Has anybody watching got any questions about travel, whatever?
Yeah.
Happy to answer.
Yeah, we should do another live again, chat more about travel stuff. This went
Yes.
honestly really well. I wasn't expecting for it to go this.
If anybody watching has got any suggestions for lives that you'd like to see as well, if you like put it in the comments or like message one of us, then we can make it happen.
Yeah,
Obviously,
we'll make
we
it
can't do a
happen.
live from based on a beach at the moment, or
Well, we
anything
can talk
like
about
that.
right.
Have I been to Cape Town? I haven't. I'd like to go. I've got a friend on Instagram who lives in South Africa on a beauty lifestyle. I've done quite a few lives with her. I don't know loads about South Africa. It's in the south, I know that, and it's got some really nice beaches, but I don't know loads about it, to be fair.
I would say I don't know loads about it either, but I do have a friend. She's actually from the UK, but her family is from South Africa. So she used to live there growing up, but she moved to the UK. But the stuff I know about South Africa is mostly from her, about like culture stuff, because I was just curious. But I don't actually know too much about it.
Yeah, my friend that lives in South Africa that I know from here, she's actually originally from Kenya. And
Oh,
I
okay.
think the only other person I've met from, well, I've met a couple of other people from South Africa, but they've been, I think one of them was one of the Afrikaans people, and the other guy, I don't think he was technically Afrikaans. I think he was just like white and like lived on a compound and spoke Dutch, but I don't think he was like part of that like population.
Right.
But I think they didn't really like living there too much anymore, which is why they came back to the UK. But so I haven't really got like the best people to tell me about it, because they haven't got the like maybe the most positive view on the place. But no, I'd love to visit.
Oh yeah, I would.
Has anyone else got any like travel related questions that they want to ask? You just type them in the chat below, and we can read them. Oh, Afrikaans is a language. I thought it was the name for the people as well. Or is it?
What
Have
would
I
you
got?
call people that speak Afrikaans, I guess?
I don't know. Obviously not what I thought because it's sorry, that's just me being a bit ignorant and not knowing. There's that many like different languages and stuff like that. I mean, like a lot of my family, they're from Wales,
Oh, okay.
and a lot of them could like speak Welsh like fluently and all that, but a lot of them that could have like passed away, virtually all of them. So I was never taught the language because, I mean, who have I got to speak it with?
Yeah.
But I
Wow.
played Welsh. 11 language, official language. Oh,
Oh, wow.
that's
Yeah,
that's
that's cool.
language. That is a lot of language.
11.
And imagine that they're all quite different as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's something that's really interesting because I want to see more of Africa just in general because so I've been to 2 countries in Africa, Morocco and Egypt, and they even well, Morocco, they spoke so many languages. They spoke not as many as 11 like South Africa, but
Yeah.
around 4 or 5.
I'm
Yeah,
guessing like Arabic, maybe English, French.
French. They have like 3 different dialects of their own.
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah, so that was like my first experience with that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I'm just interested to learn about the culture in Africa because every single different country you go to in Africa, it's just such a different, vibrant mix. And like, this one they
Yeah.
speak, 12 languages. This one, like, it's just, yes. I mean, they've got a lot of history. Oh, yeah, shout out from Morocco. That's my brother right there from Morocco. Hi. Assalamu alaikum.
I was so surprised to hear when I went to
Lovely.
Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt, we were told that actually it's not part of Africa. That Sharm el Sheikh and that area is actually owned by Asia.
Where?
Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt.
It might be part of it.
Yeah, that's what they told us when we arrived. I was like, I thought we were in Africa, but we're actually in Asia. What's going on?
So, huh. I didn't know that. So that's like a town then.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's so it's split into a few like little kind of areas. We stayed in one called Sharks Bay, and then down the road you've got Nama Bay, which is known as Little Britain because it's got loads of British shops, really weirdly. Um, and that's the main like tourist place, but also a lot of people think it's a bit tacky because it's got all the British shops. It's like trying to pretend to be somewhere else.
Uh-huh.
We stayed in Sharks Bay, which is basically all like big hotels on the beach, but it's a lot quieter, which was nice. But like I appreciate Sharm el Sheikh isn't like the proper Egypt because it's constructed for tourists to go diving.
Yeah, right. Well, if you can go to Egypt again, I've got lots of information for you on how you can, yeah. Make sure you're
Hopefully.
safe and everything. You avoid all the scams. They happen.
Oh yeah. I think when we go, it's going to be one of the only times that I book like an organized tour just to make everything just a bit easier so that we're ferried from place to place just to make it simpler so that I have less things to worry about, which
Yeah.
normally isn't what I do, but I want to go on a Nile cruise as well. And especially like after you told me about the difficulty you had in booking like transport, if it's already all organized, then I know that that's all like that bit's sorted.
Yeah. Because, I mean, from talking on our live, two of my horror stories of travel were from Egypt, but also I don't regret going to Egypt at all. I loved it. You just got to have thick skin, really. Speak a bit of Arabic.
Yeah, I don't speak any Arabic. Not yet, at least.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, my friend, he said that it's technically an Egyptian territory.
Ah, right.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Right. Well, I guess if no one has any more questions, then
we'll give you to the count of 10. 5.
Yeah. Do you have any last moment
3,
questions?
2, 1.5, 1, 3/4.
Nope, I don't think they do.
No, I think we've answered everything.
Yeah.
Oh.
Lovely. Lovely.
Thank you, everyone
Lovely.
that did send in questions. As I said, if you want to see any lives on any like particular topics, or you've got any travel questions, feel free to message either one of us.
Yes, Gothgirltravels and Wandering Worldwide with Liz. Yeah.
And if you're
Just
not
send us any
following
questions
us,
you've got.
and if you're not following us, then why aren't you? And correct that now.
Yes. We've got lots of stuff to share with you all.
And you can also find me on my website, gothgirltravels.com, and I've also got a YouTube channel, which is again under Goth Girls Travel, and you can find me as well now on Jump Rope, the little like video creation sharing site. I've got some little videos on there, again under Goth Girl Travels. I like to make it easy for everyone to find me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh,
yeah, you can find me on any of the social medias, on Facebook with Wandering Worldwide with Liz, Instagram the same, and also I've actually just released on my website, I have a shop, so I'm selling different merchandise. I released it last night, so I haven't announced it, but yeah. So yeah, you can also head to my blog website, which is wanderingworldwidewithliz.com, and I also released merchandise now, so yay! Ooh, I'm so excited about that.
I need to put more on my website.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to work on my website all the time now. I'm learning more and more, and it's going well.
Yeah, I've just got so much on because I'm in my 3rd year of uni, my last year, and I've got my dissertation. There will be more coming on my website, but like further down the line a little bit.
Yeah, and it takes time too, like to just accomplish it all. I mean,
it does take time.
It does. All right.
Well, thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. It was lovely.
No problem. It's been a pleasure.
No problem. Yeah, my pleasure. We can do another if we'd like. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for having me then.
No worries. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.